Hello, Legionnaires, and welcome to some Rando RPG livestream. Tonight, our panel of Dungeon Masters, Game Masters, referees, storytellers, and players will share their diverse tabletop role-playing game experiences to provide ideas, suggestions, and possibly even some advice for your tabletop RPG sessions. I hope you're ready to take some notes. I know I am, so let's get started. Hello, and I want to thank you all for joining me on some Rando RPG live stream. I'm John Maxley Auschlow, your facilitator and host for tonight's Introduction to Horde Wars, as you see on the screen there. Now, before I introduce the panelists and start the discussion, let's knock out our announcements, get them out of the way first. Go get your cup of coffee, do what you got to do, because you're all ignoring it anyway, I know. So first and foremost, I am truly grateful that you are joining us for tonight's live stream discussion, or VOD if you're watching this at a later date. And I hope you enjoy the conversation. After the live stream ends, the full live stream remains available only to our YouTube members, while the first 4 segments will be chopped into videos for public viewing a month from now. You have to wait a month if you're not watching now. Isn't that horrible? Oh, too bad. So what do we do here on some Rando RPG live stream? Well, in tonight's 4 segments, we are going to introduce you to Horde Wars. And by the time this is over, we hope you fully understand what Horde Wars is and if it is the game for you. And of course, segment 5, we let down our hair and just talk about whatever we want to talk about. Now, if you think you have some presence, some charisma, the ability to infotain, edutain, I hate those words, and I'm going to say them every time because they really make the point. A good AV setup free from noise pollution and interest in discussing tabletop RPGs in this general format, join some Rando RPG livestream Discord, link in the description, to stay tuned for future topics. We do have some closed topics going all the way to the end of August now, but there are still a couple that are open if you want to check that out. So help us get to know you. Maybe we'll get you on the show and talk about your experiences. As a side note, I am not budging on the 2 rules. I've had a few people, not just 1, not just 2, I've had a few people try to make demands and say, no, I am not going to turn off my fan. No, I am not going to turn off my TV, the kid's wife, whoever's watching. No, I am not going to put myself on camera. Well, my response to you is, no, you are not going to be on the live stream. It's that simple. I don't hate you. I don't disagree with you. You do you. But if you're going to be on the show, you have to do those things. Now, please consider supporting Legion of Myth through the links in the live stream's description. YouTube takes 30%. Twitch takes 50%. I only use that for clipping stuff out anyway. Your percent of your hard-earned money, while Rumble, PayPal, Streamlabs, and Ko-Fi take between 0 and 5% of your donation. Rumble rants and super chats, that's right, less than $20. I will read at the end of each segment. $20 or more, I will interrupt the segment to read your rant or chat as immediately as I can. I will let people finish their thoughts. And $50 or more, I will drink in your name, and you can force the panel to answer a tabletop RPG-related question of your choice right then and there. If we make more than $100 in super chats or Rumble rants, there will be a 25, nay, not 25, a $175 Palladium Books or Drive-Thru RPG gift card giveaway during the segment. That's right, those $25 keep rolling over, and we're at 100. You donate $100, you have the possibility of winning $175. Somehow that math doesn't add up. But you know what? There you go. We give back to you guys. And we'll do that during segment 5 towards the end of the live stream. Legion of Myth YouTube members, as well as tonight's Super Chatters and Rumble Ranters, have the opportunity to win, but you must be watching at the time of the giveaway, else it rolls over to next week. Don't forget that Legion of Myth moderators will time out or even ban people who attack any panelist or chatter. Attack the argument, not the person, and keep your various social media beefs off my show. I should have put this up, change it up a little bit, but too late. Anyway, the charity we support is the Wounded Warrior Project, a national nonpartisan organization whose mission is to honor and empower wounded warriors. By the way, this is our worst year for the charity. Worst. We've made $20. 10 of it was mine. That's it. That's horrible. We usually make close to 2,000. So hopefully, when we do the Veterans Day stream, that might help out. But if you can, if you're not sure, I got some money and, I don't want Max to get it because Max is a bad person. Give it to the Wounded Warrior Project because they're not bad people. And you can refer to the link in the description to where you can make your hopefully tax-deductible donation. Finally, please like this video and subscribe to all the panelists' channels found in the description. And thank you for your time and support. All right. with all of that out of the way, we are not going to do the normal thing where everybody introduces us, tell us about their history, and so on and so forth. We're just going to welcome Randy from Biggest Geek is here, and DM Blackwall of the Horde War fame, and we'll let them each. We'll start with. We'll save the guest for last. The best for last, right? So we'll let Randy go first here. Just real quickly, tell us about you and Biggest Geek is.
Biggest Geek is we are a podcast and a YouTube show, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. No, wait a minute. Yeah, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. My buddy Joe and I, we talk about all manner of gaming stuff, and we also are hosting our second big convention this year, Big Geek Con in Saginaw, Michigan. Get your tickets now on Tabletop Events.
Towards the end, if you want to remind me or if you want to send me a link or two, we can possibly shout that out.
Okay.
Just 1 second. All right. And then, of course, DM Blackwell, first time on the show. I know I've seen him a ton of times over there in Biggest Geekus, which is why I was scared and I said I needed Randy for some moral support here. So when he came on in here. But go ahead and tell us what it is you do before we dive into the obvious, the game.
Sure.
What is it you do and what you do in the tabletop RPG industry?
Sure.
How do we want to talk about it?
Sure. So my name's Todd. I go by DM Blackwall online. I have consulted on a number of RPGs over the last 3 years, but Horde Wars Basic is the first game that I've put out. So that is from myself and Nathan Lindy. He's a physics professor locally. I had been working in security when we started this game, but my leg got crushed, and now I have a different career.
So I was going to ask if it was IT security or physical security, but I think physical. I got the answer to that. Yeah.
Physical. Anyway, that's what I had been doing for work for a long time, and now I do office administration. As far as writing goes, we currently have 3 different books in production. Horde Wars Basic is out. Advanced is currently done being written and is with our editor, and we're basically waiting on that artwork and layout, but the writing's finished otherwise. Also, like another 1,500 hours of playtesting or something got completed. And then we are also working on a dystopian future superhero game and a sci-fi game as well. And
is this like The Boys or something?
A bit. Not their weird sex stuff though. If you introduced that, you did that. Now, as far, but in terms of like kind of a cyberpunk vibe.
Okay.
Yeah. Corporate and government corruption, mass indebtedness, so forth.
So a biography.
Yeah. So those are projects we're working on, and the core game system is the same between all 3 of those products. And so what you get in Horde Wars Basic is an introduction to a game system that we intend to use the same core mechanics across multiple genres and books.
Okay,
So
well, that'd be interesting. I'm definitely going to ask you a little bit more about that later. Because one of the things I found, and this is kind of just a lead, and I'll ask the question later, but is I found that most systems, not all, are better for one genre or another, or maybe 2 genres, but there's always one that it's weak in some regard, and so
I think
it can't
it'd be bad
just...
for horror.
What's that?
I think it would be bad for horror.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to derail what we're really here to talk about. Genres. If I can read my own writing later, I'll hopefully ask you that. All right. Well, let's start off so that the folks who are watching here can learn a little bit about Horde Wars. I'm just going to hit you with the first question, the one right out of the gate here, which is, can you give us an overview of Horde Wars and what makes it unique to other fantasy RPGs?
Sure. So it is a D12-based RPG. So instead of rolling a D20, you're rolling a D12 for your core mechanics, for things like skills or attacks or our equivalent of saving throws, which is attribute checks. And there's a couple reasons for this, which we can get into if you want to talk about some of the design elements. But basically, we designed the game to play quickly. When we've demoed this at conventions, one of the main pieces of feedback we get from Pathfinder and D&D players when they come over and watch or come over and try it is how quickly the turns move, which is good. I think that's actually one of the major flaws in modern gaming, and we have not sacrificed tactical depth. We simply built the game from the ground up to play that way.
Okay. Does quick in this case mean deadly?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does quickly in this case also mean deadly?
That is an element. Yeah, it can be quite deadly. Randy, how did it go for you with zombies?
It has gone pretty poor. I don't know. We got overwhelmed at CabinCon with these fast zombies, and we were kind of screwing around for a couple of rounds. And he kept warning us, "They're coming, they're coming." And then when they got there, I'm like, "Holy crap!" We pulled it out, but we must have went down 3 or 4 times. I mean, just like boom, boom.
Yeah, multiple party members getting chopped up.
In the current campaign I'm playing on Gilded, I tend to fall right off the bat as soon as combat starts, and it's not because I'm necessarily built badly or anything. It's just I've got some pretty bad luck with monsters. They hit me hard right off the bat. So
that is true. You tend to be in the front, and you are not the.
I play fearless, but I really probably should have more fear.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna definitely ask some questions about tactics later. Right now, we're just doing the overview, but I've already got like a million questions about this that I'm ready to go.
One core thing, though, to know is that unlike many class-based RPGs, you pick 2 careers and you get the starting abilities of both. So you're effectively building a class off selecting 2 and putting them together.
I think I played an MMO that was like that years ago.
Iron Kingdoms does it.
Okay, got it. I have not played Iron Kingdoms. I know of it, but
yeah.
So is that how you could make, like, say, your fighter wizard or your thief? Well, I guess thief acrobat probably isn't one, but whatever. You're kind of your multi-classing, dual classing concepts.
Exactly, and so it's also like for a caster, like a wizard, how you get your starting spells. So we have 5 varieties of starting wizard, and you could pick any pair of them if you want, and that will get you 6 starting spells in addition to any you might gain with a feature.
And the great thing about that, because I wasn't initially, when you told me about choosing 2 careers, I was like, oh God, this is going to be annoying. But what I found out is I play a priest acolyte, so you can build a cleric, you can build a very focused, you can be a mage, 2 different mages, so you can be a very focused guy, and you get, I mean, I'm kind of a healing boss.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's cool. Because that would bore me.
Oh no, but I can do other stuff like fall down in the first round of combat. So I've lots of.
You also swing a mean club.
Yes, I do. I hit pretty hard, so it's pretty fun.
So you're a true fighting priest then, the way God intended, so to speak.
Yep.
All right, cool. No, I like that. So with regard to the D12 system, what are, like, I guess. You've talked about the quick gameplay, and I don't want to get an example necessarily right now, but how does that facilitate the gameplay? Like when people just picking up the D12 and going,
So one pretty simple way it does that is, you know how a lot of games there are penalties, like rolling 2 dice, taking the lower, or minusing a number, that kind of thing?
Yep.
Generally speaking, our penalties use a mechanic called affliction, where if you have a level of affliction, you're simply rolling a die size smaller. So instead of rolling a D12, you're rolling a D10 for all of it.
Oh, I'm in love with the game already. Dude, I am a huge fan of Earthed on Step system, and one of the reasons why is I like rolling all the dice that I've gotten.
Affliction sucks, and so do
progressively down, and then if you get below a D4, you are either unconscious or dead.
Okay.
Depending on what put you there. Like if you were, for example, gaining affliction from drowning, you're dead.
I'm definitely not saying you copied it from them. I'm doing this just for the purposes of references in my own brain. Is this similar to the updated version of the Year Zero engine, say for like Twilight 2000? If you don't know it, that's fine.
I think so. The only game I'm aware of that uses it in a similar way is actually a tabletop skirmish game by Monster Fight Club.
Okay.
It's but they actually published after we did. It's one of the cyberpunk, but like tabletop board game or war game versions.
Okay, I was just curious because I wanted to put it in my own brain just because I know that system fairly well. It's sounding like it, which to me is a positive. So you already got a plus on that one.
Awesome.
So it's using D12, which is honest. Let's be honest. That's a die that just needs more love. I know Onker does it now, and I never had a chance to talk with Chris Miller, but I think obviously your game does. And I think there's one more out there that I've heard of that's just advertised D12, D12, D12. I love the fact that it's getting a little bit of love, and as a nerd said earlier, D12 is obviously less granular, but appreciate the ability to have fractions add perfectly. I mean, to be fair, yeah. I mean, 50%, 1/3. Like it, there's something about the math of the D12. It doesn't seem intuitive, like it's 12, but it really is.
It is. And one other thing is by switching to a D12 compared to a D20, if you're a D&D or a Pathfinder player or other D20 games, by switching to a D12, and we've kept the idea of critical hits on a maximum die roll, you've nearly doubled the odds of a critical hit.
Okay.
You're getting
now,
like,
I mean, are they all deadly? Are you killing people off a critical hit immediately?
Well, the critical hit doubles damage, so maybe.
Okay, fair enough.
And we also have properties on the weapons to make them behave like their historical counterparts.
Okay.
So, for example, you might get a stunning effect on a club if you get a critical hit.
Okay.
Or you might get a inhibiting effect where the opponent can't move if you crit with a whip, like you've wrapped their legs.
So the idea is to actually have the weapon be meaningful, not just a bunch of numbers.
Correct.
Love it. Yep. So what inspired the creation of Horde Wars, and how did you come up with this mechanic for it?
What inspired the creation for Nate and I both is we were both unhappy with 5th edition D&D. We both tried it. We played it for a couple of years, and there were significant flaws that annoyed us. One is that it got to higher and higher level play. The game got slower and slower and slower, and that's not fun, especially when you are playing with larger groups. So Nate and I have been playing RPGs together off and on for probably 20 years, maybe 25 years. And we know a lot of gamers. I think probably I know something like 50 to 100 gamers locally, not just through selling Horde Wars, but through playing other games prior to even working on this, who I've been gaming with, playing different systems. And Nate knows some others. And so we decided to build our own game system. And we thought about it and went, yeah, the D12 needs some love. Let's think about how to make a fun game around a D12.
Okay. So when you say speed up play, how long does an average combat? We'll say like these zombies. Go, Randy, you can jump in as well on this. That combat with the zombies. How long did that last, both in game turns, rounds, whatever you call them, and in actual clock movement time?
The zombie fight that he's referencing, the one, if we're referencing the same one, was quite a long fight at the first Cabin Con. But the thing is, the turns are fast. So it doesn't feel like you're waiting forever to get to go. I mean, I feel like if I'm taking more than 20 seconds to do something, I'm wasting people's time. And I'm not even trying to be fast. I mean, you can go, boom, 2, I miss. 6, I miss. I hit, double damage. Okay, cool.
Well, and I think you guys were fighting like 50 opponents?
Yeah, we had a boatload. You can fight.
Well, see, that leads into the thing that I wanted to actually ask kind of next is, okay, so how do you handle those hordes? I mean, it's something built in there for that.
It is. But to answer your first question briefly, I ran a game online earlier this week in which they dealt with 6 rooms in a dungeon and had a boss fight. I think they fought a total of something like 45 or 50 monsters across those rooms, some of which were empty, and it was all done in under 3 hours.
Wow. Okay.
And so there are different design elements that help with this. One of the things that we've done is Nate and I thought that the minion rule from actually I hated 4th edition D&D, but I thought that the minion rule was a good rule with a caveat, which is that it had no variable outcome. So we have something a bit like that. If we don't ever tell you that in the game rules, but if you pay attention in the stat blocks, you'll find that the weaker version of multi-stat block monsters, we've got several varieties of skeletons and zombies and goblins and other common creatures. that the weakest one is effectively a minion. It's like a 6 hit point dude who can swing once and has some other bells and whistles.
Okay.
And this allows you to field large numbers of them. Some of them are 12 hit points. Again, you want variable outcomes. Large numbers of them that can actually threaten, can totally kill the players, but also, generally speaking, the players can kill them back quite quickly.
So how would they? So how would a group of, say, I don't know, 20 zombies? We'll just keep using the zombie trope tonight. How would, say, 20 zombies, in order to keep that speed of turn movement go? How would you handle those 20 zombies? I probably should ask this later, but we're talking about it now, so I'm going to ask it now.
Sure. So let's pretend we're a 3-man party. Somebody else is DMing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when combat begins, let's assume it's a random encounter. We haven't deliberately charged up to some zombies, okay? So random encounter. We would roll, if we're not surprised, we'd roll for turn order. Mm-hmm. The highest number is top of round. And then you just go around in seating order.
Oh, okay.
So depending on if you want to...
That's my favorite initiative system. Absolutely.
It's fast.
Yes, I love it.
And so let's assume we won. So we'd each take our turns. And then on the zombies' turn, the game master would move the zombies, have them make their attacks, and resolve them. But you can roll these very easily in batches because, for example, let's pretend they want to get fancy and are using 3 different stat blocks for zombies. Those are all on the same page in the book. So they can literally take a handful of D12s, roll them all the attacks at once if they want to.
Okay, and it's a real easy number for them to figure out what needs to be rolled to hit. Now, you mentioned before that zombies or skeletons, whatever, could have 6 or 12 hit points. How much damage are characters doing on average? So, for example, could I take out 3 zombies in one round?
You could, but not with no effort. So baseline, you would do 1 die of damage as a first level character. But if you purchase weapons that are built to kill that kind of creature, in the case of zombies, a silver weapon, you do an extra die. So now you're doing 2 dice.
Okay. So
depending on your weapon die, if you're doing like 2d10 or 2d12, you've got a pretty good chance actually of killing a 6 hit point dude and a decent one of killing 12. And then the question becomes, did you pick a weapon that not only does extra damage, but can get through their protection? So many of the monsters and the characters who wear armor actually get protected by their armor, which means they take half damage from that damage type. So, for example, vampires are resistant, or have protection from, like blunt and slashing damage, but have no protection at all from piercing.
From the stake to the heart, got it?
Yes, yes. And the same idea is true for various other monsters, that it's kind of the thing you'd expect. Like, I believe zombies specifically have protection from blunt, because punching a zombie is not going to do a whole lot.
Spook. Yeah, I got it.
But like arrow through the brain or slashing off limbs, like that should be effective. And so we designed them to reward you for using weapons that would be smart in that situation.
And if you have the right fighting style, you get 2 attacks.
Correct.
If you have the fighting style for your weapon, you get 2 attacks. So you're rolling 2d12. So you can cut things down quick.
Yeah, so any character with the right fighting style can make 2 attacks around, and many of them can effectively make 3 in different ways.
So one of the things that sometimes I can be slow, I know it. I think I picked up on, but I want you to clarify in case I'm an idiot, is so even damage is based off that D12.
Oh, well, so you have different dice for the weapons, varying from a D4, like for just your fist, but typically for manufactured weapons, a D8 to a D12 range. Okay.
Now, damage is how is I going to ask this? I had it visualized in my head. Damage is rated by the weapon, so there isn't anything that would step down those dice or step up those dice. Okay. So it's nice static damage, so you know what you're going to do. So you can roll your attack roll, and you can have your damage ready to go, or if you allow it, roll at the same time. And okay, that makes sense. All right. I know we're going to have some more questions about combat later, so I'm going to kind of bypass some of that right now. You mentioned that you weren't a big fan of 5e, which if you've been on this channel ever, we don't like anything WotC. But were there any positive influences that you got out there? Not to say that you copied them, but things you're like, you know what, I really like how this game did this. I think I can do it better, or this idea I want to bring into my game.
Oh, sure. So, for example, 3rd edition Gestalt rules is essentially the default in Horde Wars, where you are playing 2 careers at once. The Gestalt rules for 3rd edition D&D were play 2 classes at once.
Okay.
So that would be an example of something. But I think we varied influence from war games to a bunch of different sci-fi ones to Nate used to be a rep for Pathfinder back I don't know 10 years ago or so. So he was like organizing Pathfinder Society events and this kind of thing.
I made them angry with me because I refused to accept their dumb little Pathfinder points. I wanted experience points.
Well, so he's played probably about 30, 35 systems like for an extended period. I've played a few less, but we both have a pretty wide array of influences. And to answer a Chris Preacherman's question, yes, if you'd like to play sometime, pick up a copy of the game on DriveThruRPG. It's $7 for the PDF. Otherwise, you can email us, hordewars@blackwallgames.com, and we do mail order for our physical books. We also sell them at conventions and in person and such. But it's like $25 plus shipping. Shipping being what it is in the US,
Yeah.
I don't control that.
Yeah. And a lot of the folks who watch aren't in the US.
So if you're not in the US, you're probably going to want to buy the digital copy, especially if you want to check it out and see if it's worth your money otherwise.
And barring something weird, I already have a link to where you can purchase them in the description. So people should just be able to go right to Big Geek Emporium or DriveThruRPG to go buy the stuff. All right. I mean, I think this is a little bit self-explanatory, but I'm still going to ask it. I mean, what kind of setting and themes can people play or expect to play in Horde Wars? And here's where I'm getting at with the question, though. Is there domain play? Is it based on the idea of armies? Is it for your Frodo adventure? What is it that people can expect? All of the above, none of the above?
So in basic, it's going to be focused around an adventuring party and possibly a few retainers. Advanced includes rules for running your own domain, larger scale like fights between armies, as well as seafaring adventures. We have a chapter for that. And we also have a chapter introducing you to the setting. So rather than trying to sell you a separate book, Nate and I would like to do what the Rules Cyclopedia did and sell you a game entirely in one. So
you keep saying those words that make me want to buy your game right now, because Rules Cyclopedia is one of my favorite. I'm an AD&D 2nd edition guy, but Rules Cyclopedia, I'm converted. That is my game of choice.
Yeah, no, it's good. I got a copy back there, but but we wanted to give you everything you needed to play, and so Horde Wars Basic includes everything you need to play, but specifically for levels 1 to 4. And then when you get more advanced characters, that's when you're going to want to buy our upcoming book that we should be releasing in like December or February. The variance there is basically how quickly our artists finish their work.
I hear that a lot. So go ahead.
I was going to say that you mentioned Frodo. So when you say that, are you talking a play like Zero to Hero play?
No. I just meant adventure party, kind of like what he was talking about. Dragonlance Chronicles, whatever.
Gotcha.
You said levels 1 through 4. Is this like the Holmes or the Beckme edition, where it's like, I'm going to get through that level 1 through 3 in about 2 sessions, and I need the next book already? Or do you have kind of a slower leveling system?
No. So you need, as you might expect, 12 experience points to level up.
Okay.
We wanted to play
a
with
theme.
the theme. And you typically will get 2 to 4 on a given adventure.
Okay. When you say adventure, you mean adventure or session? I'm being pedantic for a reason.
It may or may not be a session.
That is okay. Again, I think he prepared for this. He researched what I like in games, and he's putting all this together. No, seriously, because
I have listened to you for several
Todd's a smart cookie.
occasions.
that's fair. No, because I'm one of those people that I understand that there could be reasons for it, and everybody's got an excuse as to why they do it. That's fine. But I'm the type of guy that I read some. I want to say it was first edition, might have been a second edition book that said 3 to 5 adventures per level. That's not sessions. 3 to 5 adventures per level is a good rule of thumb, and I love that rule of thumb because it gives you time to learn your character, and we all know that each adventure is built in multiple parts anyway. So the information gathering, the dungeon crawling side, the wilderness getting there, exploration side, however you want to do it, I don't care. But yeah, so you can say, so you're learning more about your character over time, not just like, okay, I got this new ability. Boom, now I got this new other ability. Boom, I haven't even used this one back here. Hold on.
Oh yeah, but not just that, but also we designed the game to give you setting information as part of character creation. So basically, when you make a character, let's pretend you made a red wizard knight because you want to play a spellblade who is in heavy armor because reasons. Let's say you did that. That would mean that you have an understanding of the basic abilities of all knights in the world. That knight career is the abilities that NPC knights start with.
Okay.
The same is true for a red wizard. You have your starting spell list is the core spell list of some other red wizard. Now you might, and they might diverge after that with choices that you make, but you actually have some knowledge about the game world, even if you've never played Horde Wars before, that you can actually share with your adventuring party just because of your what's on your character sheet.
So is this Red World Final Fantasy Red Wizard or Dragonlance Red Wizard?
Ooh, closer to Final Fantasy. This is definitely fire themed.
Okay.
Yeah. Fire and haste.
Yep. Oh.
Wait, does haste age me? I don't want that if it's aging me.
No, though we do have coming in advanced a few cursed items, one of which is suspiciously like an aging haste.
Okay, you know what? Again, I'm going off my script here by asking this, but it popped in my head and I don't want to forget. I am a huge fan of games like Forbidden Lands and DCC where magic comes with potential hazards. Not guaranteed death, but you know what? You risk reward, baby. You want the power, you're going to have to suffer some possible, idiosyncrasies. How is that built into Horde Wars?
Yeah, so in basic, we mention that possibility, and in advanced, we provide a more robust set of explanations for it. But I believe Randy has tried it, and I know many of our other customers have. Randy, have you done any supernatural or magic strain?
Yes. What did my? I can't remember it. I know I did.
So basically, your spells do something specific.
Yes.
But you can attempt to strain them to do something related.
Oh, neat.
I think when my cleric and Joe's wizard fighter dude, or whatever he was, assassin wizard, we were trapped in that. What are those little dragon guys called? The
Dracarans.
Dracarans. We totally screwed the pooch on that adventure. We were like running for our lives, and I had to do something. And I tried to do a strain, and I think I failed miserably. I was rolling horrible that night, but yeah. Tried to do that.
Do you remember what happened to you when you failed that roll?
I just remember running for my life and almost getting killed by a dragon in this long
I think you lost
crazy
the spell and also gained a level of affliction.
That's right, which sucks.
Other times, like if you do, like if you were going to do a chain lightning and strain it to like hit more targets, and you fail, it'll work normally, and you'll be one of the targets.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, it almost sounds like Wild Magic from second edition, but
yeah,
more
but
poignant.
It's a tie-in. Like your spell will just work if you do what it says. You are the one choosing to strain it and risking bad side effects.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I like because games with really open-ended magic, Mage the Ascension, can be really hard to adjudicate.
Yeah.
On the flip side, your magic missile goes from your finger and it hits the target. That is it. You get nothing else from it. Can also be really boring. So the idea, the fact that, okay, I got a magic missile that comes from my fingertip and goes and hits the target, or I could try something else that still relates to launching out there and attacking something and doing it maybe a little differently. I want to pin this guy's shirt to the wall.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I like the fact that I can bring that in, but it comes with a bit of risk because you're now you're outside the direct scope, but it's still related. I like that conceptually. I really do.
Good. Good. I'm glad, because we use the same mechanic for the game that we've got in active playtesting, which is that dystopian future superhero game. Same idea for straining their powers.
I'm excited to see that one. I think it's going to work well for a supers game.
And one I'm pretty sure that you'll like, Max, from that Nate and I were working on last week, is we've spoofed the juicer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm not. Heathen Dog's the riffs guy, not me, right?
But you immediately knew what I meant.
Yeah, make it an anthropomorphic juicer, and I'm in.
You could play. We basically have we have something that, for legal reasons, we're calling it Ubermensch, because mutant would get us in all kinds of problems.
Would it really?
Oh yeah. The comic book industry is hilariously litigious. Whereas Ubermensch, the guy who thought of that term, is super dead. So that'll work.
The word,
ahead, Randy.
I think you told me before, the word mutant would get you in trouble?
Yeah. Used in the way we mean.
Oh, okay.
And
Interesting.
Specifically a printed product.
Wow.
There's some other
That's weird, because Palladium has mutants.
Yeah, but if you mean something different, you're not going to risk those problems.
Okay, fair enough.
We
fair enough.
do mean something very close to what they mean, like for the X-Men.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, you know what? Those people can get bent, but it is what it is, and I can understand you wanting to protect your property, obviously. So, so this will be the last question in this segment of it. But who is Horde Wars designed for? I mean, is it obviously you have a target audience, but does that target audience also include brand new people to the hobby, or just disenfranchised people that have been here for a while and are looking for something better, or again, all of the above?
All of the above. I have had the joy of having someone try out our game at a convention in last September, who had never played actually we had several who had never played an RPG before, which is great. We had a few war gamers, a few board gamers. They came over, they wanted to play. There were open slots. We actually had so many people who wanted to play that we did overflow tables past the convention schedule because we ran out of space.
Nice.
Which is a good problem. But one of them, who had never played RPGs before, has become a regular playtester now, starting last September.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome. She is regularly playing in a game group now, which is great. She had known about RPGs for like the last 20 years. She's married to a guy who plays them, but just never would play.
So this might be the game that gets my wife interested.
In her case, yes, maybe for yours. But also we had what was that, in March? Mm-hmm. I got to go demo in kind of a basement con. So there's a group of like 20 guys or so who all meet up together in game regularly.
Okay.
And they invited Nate and I to come out, and we did. And we had the opportunity to teach an 85-year-old wargamer how to play. And by game 2, he knew what he was doing and was making good tactical decisions.
That's sweet. So do you get a different reason for loving the game between, say, the younger folks or the newer folks and the older, more experienced folks, or they both say the same thing, like this is why we all love it?
So for people who are experienced with RPGs, I would say speed, and also that the abilities are very clearly written tend to be the responses, which is, we paid a professional editor. She did a pretty good job, and paid a number of artists to do work, including like the cover art and some interior artwork and this kind of thing. And I think that that really helps. So we get some comments about the artwork as well. For newer people, it's just, I think that they're excited to get to play a game that is at least accessible, because it's one book, right?
Mhm.
It's not read this shelf or read this one book, but there's also this shelf over here that you also are going to have to worry about encountering. And so I think we have something like 120, maybe 140 stat blocks for opponents in basic. And then in advanced, we're hitting like maybe 240. So we're actually equaling or exceeding like a D&D or Pathfinder monster manual.
Monsters Compendium, here we come.
As part of the core book, right? So it's not some separate book.
Yeah.
It's right there.
I think for me, because I think like you said, the older folks, I am definitely one of my favorite things is the speed. But the other thing, and I got to be careful here, Todd, because I don't want to scare Max off when I say this phrase. I would say Horde Wars is what I wish 3rd edition was, because it has a part of the build game, but not so much that it drives you crazy. I mean, I played crazy amounts of 3rd edition in Pathfinder. You'd have 900 books in front of you, and you'd be trying to, at least the players are trying to build these crazy weirdo characters. And I was like, even as a player, I'm not interested in putting that much time in building a character. But I also, as much as I do like Rifts and Palladium, it takes forever for me to build a character. Just because you roll on this and do this and pick that and add this to this. And I can do math, it just takes forever. I think there's a sweet spot you found where there's enough build to be interesting, but not so much that I'm like, holy crap. I mean, Joe and I, we rolled up a character on Biggest Geekus, I know, in under 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Probably 20.
Well, and that's also describing what you were doing. And
correct. That's what I'm saying. We literally did it live. So.
Well, and me and Ryan Howard over on Rollin' Bones, he bought the book 5 minutes before we started the stream, and he made a character having never read it before in like 20 minutes live.
By the way, he's banned from the show. He is absolutely banned from the show because he said when he's going to come on, the first things he's going to say are Earth Dawn and Palladium are gay. No, no, sir.
That's great.
I like Ryan. He's good people.
They're not gay. They're just questioning their identity.
Wow. Wow.
But that's someone who had never even looked at the game prior. So
that's awesome. I mean, I look at some games where character creation is so quick, but it also is meaningless. It's like, okay, yeah, thanks, it's quick, but everything's cookie cutter because it's quick. I don't mind the games that take more, but I think Randy's right that there is a sweet spot in there, especially when you have I know in 3rd edition I call it Lego characters, and just for Randy's edification, I don't hate 3rd edition because I think it's a bad game. I hate 3rd edition because I think it's a bad D&D game. That's the issue I have with it. So, having that Lego character concept, but okay, maybe not as crazy as like what 3 is, but able to kind of mix and match. I like that conceptually. Like I said, I used to play MMOs all the time, and there are a couple MMOs I know that did that, and I like that concept where it's like, I would like to be a fighter thief, and I just pick fighter and thief. I would like to be a priest wizard, where I just pick. I want to just focus all in on wizard, baby. I'm gonna be boom, boom. That's what I'm gonna be, and you can do that as well. I think that's great. You don't have to overthink it. You just kind of figure out what your concept is. How many of those? I don't know if I'm gonna ask this later or not, so I'll ask it now. How many of those classes, subclasses? What do you call them in your game?
Careers, and there are 21 of them.
21. Okay,
and that's deliberate, because that way, if you are indecisive, but you can pick one, you can literally roll a d20 to pick the other one.
Wait. Why not a d12?
Well,
2d12.
That's not how math works. That won't curve right.
Well, you're gonna have to make some more classes then, aren't you?
Well, no, it's because it'll hit the middle a bunch on average.
I got you.
And the fun thing, I don't know if you saw that episode, Max, but the fun thing about the way Joe and I did it, we literally rolled for everything. I mean, we didn't choose. We rolled for classes, and we built a character that was more than functional. So
more than functional.
Well, what I mean,
he could show up.
Well, if you did that in 3rd edition, you'd you'd get a trash character.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I mean,
one of the terms I use all the time is viable. I don't need the most powerful.
Right,
How do I put this together?
Exactly.
I want a character that I can put on, put in the game on the field, and he's viable, whether it's in a niche or all around or whatever. And sometimes games have characters that just aren't viable. Don't do that build or whatever you want to call it. If you do these things, your character is going to suck no matter what you do. So I like the fact that there are limitations to this, because it sounds like every one of these careers makes a character viable, because you come preloaded with certain abilities with that, right?
Yep. And as a result, you have over 400 unique character combinations just off the careers.
Yep.
And that's ignoring that you've got a different species you can play, and that you have features that you get a starting feature typically to assign to further customize your character. So for a caster, you might pick up another spell. For a more martial character, you might pick up a special fighting technique. For someone who's really paranoid about getting mind controlled and meets the prereqs, you might gain immunity to compulsion.
I like being mind controlled. All right, well, let's end this segment here, and we'll pop in the next one. I'm sure some things will be repeated, and I think that's a good thing, because this is going to spread across 4 videos that people have access to. But I think this is a really good introduction to generally what Horde Wars is. I think in the next one we're gonna dive a little bit more into the gameplay mechanics. So some of this might be repeated, but I think we're gonna focus a little bit more on those. Before I do that, let's hit a couple of super chats. Chris Preacherman says thanks, because reaching out I cannot talk. Oh my God. For him asking the question, you telling him that he can go get the book for $7 on DriveThruRPG and or Big Geek Emporium, which again, folks, the links are in the description. You can check that out. And Black Lodge Games apparently likes your games. It's awesome. I would rather have A+ awesome, but I'm just saying, Hey. I think I get his point out.
F+. He's saying an F+ is what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward. I think I'm going to try and get a game in with those guys once they finish up their Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. And I think that'll be really fun, because as mentioned in the chat, we have a Guilded server. We got about 90 or 100 in there, people on there who are actively playing Horde Wars and are getting in online games or are asking like rules questions and stuff. We get about a third, maybe a little under a third of our purchasers who decide to join that. It is a private Guilded server, so if you buy the book, you need to tell me you want to join, and then I'll send you an invite.
Okay, so I shouldn't ask you to put it, so I can put the description here? Okay, not a problem. Alrighty then, I won't. Well, let me throw up my little sign here as it reminds folks to like, subscribe, and share. I hope to see everybody in the next video as we continue to talk about Horde Wars. I'm excited. We're only through segment 1. I don't know what's going to happen after this. I'm going to fall asleep. I'm going to have so much adrenaline pumping through me. So, but we'll find out in just a few moments. All right, so in this second part, we're going to look a little bit more at character creation. We're going to look at probably dive into some more of the core mechanics. Again, hopefully this isn't too much repetition here. If it is, we'll just move on to segment 3 in a bit. But what I want to start off with is in regard to the gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
So in a bit more detail, maybe if you can, without boring everybody, a round by round kind of concept. How does this D12 system work in terms of how am I rolling initiative? How am I attacking that zombie or skeleton? How is it responding to me? Again, I know some of this has already been kind of covered a little bit, but I mean, we're talking the deep dive here. And then, just how does this work all told, I guess?
Sure. Randy, you have played this. Mm-hmm. I think you've run it a time or two.
Yes.
I've
only run it once, but I'm going to be running it again this. Oh, I meant to tell you, I'm running it this week. 2 weeks at my family reunion for I got some very younger cousins.
Sweet.
They're excited. So yeah, and I hope to run it for you for Grand Con too. So
nice.
Would you like to answer your impression as someone who's bought the game and played it a little bit?
Okay. So I think the nice thing, the initiative, when we talked about your D12 plus your dex plus your reflex, there's only 4 attributes, which is nice. Senses, willpower, reflex, and fitness. Yep. And so then whoever gets the highest, at least when I run, whoever gets the highest, you go from there around the table and clockwise. And when you attack, you just roll your single D12, add your combat modifier. If you're doing a melee or some sort of
How can those combat modifiers get out of hand like Pathfinder?
No, they're very controlled.
Okay.
You have a base combat. I don't know. Is that something you pick during? That's a thing you pick during creation, right? Whether you're going to have a +2 or not, but most everybody will because combat's a big part of the game. I don't know why a tavern wench would, but that's fine. Anyway, that's one of the careers. It's strange but interesting. It's very playable. So anyway, and so you roll that, and I usually color code. So like if I have 2 attacks, I've had color coded dice. I'll literally roll them all at once, and so my damage will be the same color. And I think Blackwall can assume I can usually tell what damage I did really fast, what number I rolled. You just add that modifier +2.
Yep.
Am I forgetting something? So if you have combat, what else is there? That's it, right?
You might have a circumstance bonus. So
Circumstance bonus.
Or their prone
And
or
then,
something.
yeah, and you roll your damage, and then when you're done with that, you might have what's called a maneuver. Some people only get a maneuver once per combat, once per day, whatever. I have a couple once per days where I could heal somebody after, so I can do that in addition on my turn, and I can move. So you get a move action, a fighting, attack action, and then sometimes a maneuver. But your
do they happen in a particular order, or can you take them like I can attack first and then move, or I move first then?
You can actually break up your movement through the turn.
That's right.
So, for example, you could move over, attack someone, continue your movement, swing again, and then complete your movement if you wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, but I find it very smooth, intuitive, and you're done fast. So
Nice.
yeah, and spells are almost the same too. I mean, they're very quick. So you can even cast
what kind of modifiers can, we'll say, slow down play? Like what can come in? So if I'm doing that, if I'm trying to run towards, I want to attack DM Blackwall, and then I want to quickly veer around this desk in front of me, and then I want to punch Randy. I mean, what's going to get in the way? What are the considerations I'm going to have to think about when it comes to like the math of that?
Well, really, it's one, is there hindering terrain in that area? And do you have some way to avoid it? Because if not, you might get slowed down too much to complete that choice, right? Like if, I don't know, if there's like a bunch of spikes in the floor sticking upright and you try to move across that might A, hurt you, or B, slow you down. But assuming that you've got the space to move, nothing. You can just do it. You can roll the attacks. You would want to know if you're going to get some kind of circumstance bonus, because that will affect your odds of hitting about 17-18%.
Okay. Are there things like saving throws and conditions in the game to avoid those saving throws, or does everything just kind of happen because of the success of the attacker? So basically, is there a reaction from defenders, or is this just an attacker or an actor focused system?
Most careers, actually, I think all of them, once you get to high level play, but most of them at low level get one or more maneuvers, which are essentially reactions, but you can only use a maneuver once per round of play. And you could use it on someone else's turn unless the maneuver specifies otherwise. For example, the archer has a maneuver called Snapshot, and it says, if you've made one or more ranged weapon attacks, you can use Snapshot to make another one. So that's a typically on your turn maneuver. The Warlord has a maneuver where he can order someone to attack. So he can off turn tell one of his buddies to stab or shoot someone.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas a Blade Master could block an incoming attack. A Knight with a shield could protect himself or an ally with his maneuver.
Okay.
A Grey Wizard could cast a magic shield that absorbs all damage that the target would take until the end of his next turn as a maneuver.
That's really
So that's kind of like a reaction. So I see somebody going to attack Randy, and I have been waiting for any game to do that for the longest time. We were talking about this for MMOs a long time ago. One of the things I hate about MMOs or like Dungeons and Dragons style play is that whack-a-mole system, as I call it. Take damage, heal damage, take damage, heal damage. Man, it would be so much more interesting if I could make some sort of roll, maybe not guaranteed success, but, oh God, I see that the archer about to shoot Randy, and I can go, no, and throw that magic out there to get in the way. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yep. And the Red Wizard, for example, his once a day maneuver is haste, the spell. And so he can make it so that the target, which could be himself or one of his buddies within a certain range. I guess he could do it to an enemy, but that'd be really stupid. That person immediately gets an action. So the red wizard can generate an off-turn action for someone, which could be a full series of attacks, could be another spell, could be them just running. And that can be quite powerful. And then the target gets an extra action on his turn for the next D4 rounds also.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, where do I buy the game again? No, I'm liking this.
You should pick it up. Drive-through RPG is the main place we're marketing right now, and that's just because of some site memory issues on Big Geek Emporium, unfortunately.
Yep.
Well, because it's on topic, I will do this. I'll read the super chat now. Nerds Nerd for $7.01. There's a reason for that. It says it's only $7, people. That's less than the cost of this super chat, but more than I will make on that super chat. Just saying, 30%. I'm reading the book now, and it looks like a very solid game. Well, there you go.
Awesome.
They got that from a Nerds Nerd. You can't go wrong when she says
You
it.
will not be disappointed. No way. It's a good game.
And Dizzy, we're going to convert you from Pathfinder, my lady.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, obviously, we're Nate and I we're a small company now. He's a physicist, so he is really good at math, and that has helped with our game design. But we've made a game that even in the basic form is more content than you're going to get in one of the books from the kind of the big two, which would be Wizards of the Coast or Paizo. In advanced, I think in about 330 pages, we've packed more content in there than you'll get in 2 or 3 of their books. This is partly with layout choices, but largely with design choices. So, for example, it includes, I'm trying to remember, I think 150 magic items, plus a table to generate magic weapons, of which there are literally thousands.
Yep.
It also includes the careers and the capstones, the higher level options for those careers. And so you've got easily years and years of play. And in basic too. Like if you just took basic and played it, you could play that every day for a year and not run out of things to do that were new.
Yeah. Their treasure table generators are really cool and fun and evocative. DM Blackwall likes to generate treasure like as we're playing, which is really cool. But I like doing it in advance when I DM, but it also allows me to add a lot more flavor and to think about how I want to make it fit into the world and stuff like that. But I'm a control freak, so there you go.
I had another question in my head, and I don't remember what it is, but I wrote this one down, so we'll move on to this one. You make everything sound very similar in how it happens throughout the round. Is there anything particularly different about casting a spell than, say, attacking somebody?
Well, it depends on the spell. So like a kind of cantrip style spell is like attacking someone, though typically at range with some kind of elemental damage, and often, at least if you crit, some kind of elemental effect. For example, if you crit with a jolt from a blue wizard, you will make the damaged target skip his next action. So you can kind of lock down an enemy with that potentially. So there is that, and then also usually you can generate unique effects. I mean, one would be like a lightning bolt or a fireball, or these kinds of classic ideas of area effect spells, which is something that a normal person just can't do. But then also as you get into some of the specific things, like being able to use an illusion as a white wizard and make yourself look like a different person for an hour or more, and have everyone, unless you like screw up badly, like maybe make yourself look like someone and you don't speak the language he knows, like unless you screw up badly, you're going to be able to pass yourself off as this dude for an extended period. That is insane. That and that's a first level white wizard. When you get to picking up some of the other choices, like Randy, do you remember what Aesir's Bane does?
Oh, that's the cool one. Yeah, where you cast it and you switch places with somebody.
Uh-huh.
That is so, and you can do it in all sorts of interesting ways. And the few times we've played,
When you say
I've seen
switch
it.
places, like physical or mental?
Yeah.
Physical,
Physically.
Okay.
a teleport switch. It's really cool.
So we've got players who will do stuff like jump off a cliff and then use that to switch places with a boss.
Yes. It's really hard.
Now, does this spell automatically work, or this goes back to my question from before? Is there some sort of save that boss would have to have that not function on him?
So that particular spell can only affect a creature of up to large size. So a really big creature won't be affected by it. And then a few opponents have things like immunity to magic or the ability to counter a spell. Okay. So if you make a habit of this, eventually it will kill you. But in general, no, it works.
Okay. Wow, that's I'm torn on that, because I think that makes sense that magic shouldn't be able to just be randomly fizzled and countered. At the same time, it's like I can see that maybe getting out of hand, but how do you prevent it from getting out of hand?
Well, one, there are certain effects that different creatures have that can protect them in different ways. So also, obviously, a flyer, if you do this to him, is just going to not fall.
Right, yeah.
He'd just be like, okay, then. But also things like trolls with their regeneration. Unless you have negated their regeneration, every round on his turn, our trolls regain full maximum hit points.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of regeneration.
Yeah.
It is. But you'll notice that's also faster math. You don't have to track round by round adding an incremental amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's pass-fail. He's either at full health or he's still hurt like he was. Did they negate the regen or not?
And also death is interesting. Like, I told you I fall a lot. I get beat down the first round. You're not dead immediately. You get to roll a D4. That's how many. So you don't track negative hit points.
Right.
And the hit point cap is much lower in this game. I mean, we're all, what are we, third level, I think, in the current game on Gilded.
Yeah.
And we're 24 hit points.
Yep.
And that's about it. And that can go fast when you get smacked.
Yeah, remember, folks, they're rolling anywhere between D8 and D12 for this damage. So
yeah, so that goes
and
fast.
Often 2 dice per hit, sometimes 3.
Yeah, and monsters hit me, it's like 3 dice and I get slaughtered. That's just kind of how I roll. I kind of like that. But yeah, that's a thing, and I kind of like it. And now DM Blackwall, he rolls it out in the open. I would keep it secret. I'd like the players to be pressured to know if their friend's dying or not.
I'm with you, Randy.
Yeah,
I get both schools of thought though, but I'm with you.
Blackwall's method does add to the excitement because like, oh crap, we got to get to the healer before he's dead.
Yep.
But I'm like, I think mine would too. It'd make him push. You better get to him. He might be dead next round.
Well, the more important rolling in the open is actually things like attack rolls, critical hits, because I'm not pulling punches.
Correct. I think that's a good idea in general. That's just my opinion.
That's going, all right, guys, if this crits, you're probably dead. Like, Here's the roll.
Then they go, are they attacking Randy's character? Then yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. Well, then I roll, the damage dice and stuff in public, and you can get lucky. Stuff happens.
Sure, it does.
But that really helps drive player engagement. So does a fast turn order that uses the same kind of general turn movement that board games do. People are used to going, oh, you're next to me, I'm next. This helps things move faster. So when they roll for initiative, I don't know if you caught that or not, Max. Top goes first, and then it's just around the table from there.
That's the only thing that you've said so far that I'm like, eh.
No, I tell you, one thing I was concerned about with that, Max, as a DM, I was like, man, the monsters are going to go, they're almost never going to go first. I mean, that's not true, but they're going to go first rarely. But the thing is, you kind of want that. Because if they're going first a lot, they're not.
No, I get that. And look, just to be very, very clear on this, so people out there are like, oh God, Max is crapping on this game. No, not at all. It's just, for me, the games that I like to play, I love roll initiative every round. Oh, let's use Earth Dawn as the example. First of all, I have to know what you're doing because it's going to affect your initiative roll. Then you roll, and then people go after they roll initiative. I know people are like, that slows down the game. That really makes it suck. Well, I don't care. I like it, and honestly, I just find that as being part of the game. That's not to say that speeding up the game is a bad thing.
I will say, if you wanted that flavor, what you could do is simply roll initiative every round and otherwise keep the rule unchanged. because that will change who's first. That will mess with where the monsters are in turn order in a very similar way. You'll get very similar outcomes, but again, all you have to
wait, so when you guys roll initiative, you do it one time per fight?
correct.
Oh yeah,
But
I would change that.
But if you wanted to do beginning of round roll, like that would be pretty simple. If you kept the rest of the rule, that would still flow pretty quickly. Because all you have to know,
that's fair. I think that's a good balance. I just look at combat as it's chaotic, and you know that the players should. That's not to poo-poo his game, folks. That's just like my style is. I do get irked when people say initiative just slows the game down. No, it's part of the game. There's literally a game in here at the same time. But the core concept of this game is to make it quicker, faster, grittier, etc. So without ruining. Without dumbing it down, so to speak,
right.
For at least from what you guys are saying. So I understand where you're coming from with that, and it sounds like it works.
And one of the effects a player can find on one of the artifacts, one of the magic items, actually plays with the initiative system, because what it does is it, as a maneuver, negates an enemy action and reverses the turn order.
Oh. So, like, reverse it from that point?
Uh-huh.
So if you've already gone, you're not going again?
No, you get to go again.
Oh.
Right back around the table.
So you can do it right at the end?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay. Wow. All right. I'm hesitant just because I just see so many ways to abuse that. But you know, if this game feels like it's built around the concept of you can abuse each other. So you know what? When it's mutual abuse, it's okay.
Well, and you have to remember that a lone character in this game system, because of the nature of the fights that they're engaging in, because of the random encounters that they can have, will die.
Okay.
No matter how much equipment that you have, no matter how high a level you have, you will bump into random encounters that by yourself you just can't win. A party may very well be able to beat it, but the characters, while powerful, they start out roughly equivalent to a second or third level D&D character, perhaps not in terms of their durability, but in terms of some of their character options. Like for example, we have wizards at level 1 starting with a fireball effect.
Okay.
Like they have a single use of it, but they have one.
It's like a third level wizard in second edition having a scroll of fireball.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I get that. Do spells grow with you, kind of like per level? It's 1d6, or is there another mechanism that makes them more or less powerful?
So, in a couple ways. So the first is whenever characters hit tier 2, which is 5th level, starting so that's an advanced. They do an extra die of damage on everything.
Okay.
Melee weapons, ranged weapons, improvised weapons, spells, everything. And there are maneuver abilities you can pick up to add damage to your spells or to potentially to your melee attacks. And so for a wizard, a good choice would be something like Overwhelming Power, where he can use this maneuver to buff one of his attack spells an extra die. And he can use it all day. Once around, he can do that. We also have a item, I think it's one of the rods, which changes, when you activate it, it changes the damage dice in your spell to 1 die size higher. So let's pretend your spell would do 5d8 damage. Well, now if you use the rod, it's 5d10.
Nice.
I like
that.
that.
There's a few ways to buff it. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to get back to this because I don't think I fully heard or understood what Randy said. So I'm just going to go back to this. The idea of death. So 0 hit points doesn't kill you.
Well,
so
you begin dying. You roll a d4. That's how many rounds till you bleed out and die.
So how does somebody says have to be a spell, or can it be just like I went over there and wrapped him up in gauze?
So you can benefit from a healing potion once a day. That's it. If you've taken a potion, it won't do anything to help you. So a healing potion could be used to give you some hit points. A priest, an acolyte, or a warlord could give you some hit points in different ways. Or someone with a medicine kit could attempt a skill check to stabilize you, in which case you won't regain consciousness. You'll just freeze in the bleeding out state until either you take damage or have rested long enough to regain some health.
Okay, that is simple enough, but meaningful enough. Got it. Okay.
Can I say something about the healing potion?
Please.
That was a bit of a shock for our group when we played it the first time.
Yep.
I liked it immediately because, I like
So do I.
I like things to be hard. And I've always thought the idea of, potions using magic all day long should, your body should have some limits where it can take it. And I like that fact. And it makes the game, you're careful when you're not drinking potions left and right, especially healing potions, but you also don't have to you don't have to hoard, play on words. You don't have to hoard healing potions either. I got a backpack like in Pathfinder.
I don't know if it's a mega dungeon, you might still hoard some, because you get one a day. But
you're going to stay down there, but if you're going and
that's fair.
There's no advantage. You're not going to. You having 5 healing potions won't help you that day.
Correct.
Understood. No, I love that conceptually. I think I've told many people what I've done in my games is I turned healing potions into HOTS. So if you roll that D8 and you get 5, well, you're gonna get 1 hit point back every round for 5 rounds. So you're not just whack-a-moling. That was one of the things I did. And I also, if you overdo it, I especially do this with like potions of heroism and so forth, you become addicted to them.
Yeah.
And you will suffer withdrawals from them because they're basically a drug. So this is another way, Randy, I'm with you on this. I think this is freaking awesome that, you got your potion. It's your last chance. You want to live in GTFO. It's time to drink that and go. I got it. You're not just going to be like, okay, I'm back in the fight, guys. Let's do this. Right. So I really like the sound of that. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and then and there are certain careers that give you other ways to help you survive different ways. Let me try and see if it will let me. So I'm pretty sure if you allow me to, I can.
You should be able to share something. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me flip down to one. So you'll notice that there is a Crusader on our cover. We do not shy away from that. In part because in our game they're fighting actual monsters as compared to other people. So let me see here. So I have to click present and share screen and okay. I think that should be.
I got it.
Cool. So I can zoom in a bit, and then
it's going to be, no matter what, it's going to be really tiny on my screen because I have so much here. But the other folks out there should be able to read it if you zoom in. Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys want to have a look, so this is the starting abilities of a Crusader. He begins with some skills: combat, faith, and a skill of your choice. And he gets an ability called Paladin. It's an absorption effect that says whenever you wear heavy armor, it absorbs the first damage that you take from an attack each round.
That's so good.
Wait, like all of it?
Yeah.
So if you're not attacked by 2 people, you're soaking it all up.
Well, 2 attacks. Most people have 2 attacks.
Yeah.
Oh, fair. Okay.
Yeah. In addition, you can wear heavy armor without speed penalty, and then he's got this maneuver he can use. Whenever he makes a melee weapon attack, he can use cleave to apply that attack against an additional target. Ooh. So he could fish for crits. He could roll 2 attacks, look at the attack roll and go, oh, that one's a critical hit. I'm going to cleave with that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so he can choose.
Yes.
Yep.
Have you had players, and now is that written clearly somewhere, or have you had players like, hey, I don't know, how do I handle this? Or like, I think that might be too powerful. I'm not going to allow this.
Well, in general, it says if you read the ability and read it literally, it means what it says. So in this case, when you make a melee weapon attack, so you roll the attack die, that's you making the attack. Then you can use cleave.
Oh, so you choose after. Okay, got it.
And then he also has Dawnblade. So whenever he makes a melee or ranged weapon attack, he can choose to deal solar damage instead of the normal damage type. So basically, he can turn his normal longsword into a kind of holy avenger.
The Crusader, I wouldn't call him broken. I thought he was at first. He is very powerful. as far as a melee combatant.
Mhm.
But there are things. I mean,
But
like
that's his niche, right? Like that's the one place that he excels. And
yeah, I mean, like for example, my cleric has a slumber spell.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you could shut a crusader down lickety split, just boom, because he has to make a willpower check, and if his willpower's crap, I mean,
He's
you can
out.
just shut him right down quick. So I mean, it's he's not undefeatable.
So there's a term I don't like. I don't like the idea of balance. I mean, I understand why people
Hmm.
mention it. I think balance is
Yeah.
fictitious. I don't think it's a real thing. At the same time, every character class should be viable, so to speak, right? Career in this game.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, like, I don't care if the Crusader is just absolutely like, you are not going to beat him in a sword fight, all things being equal. I don't have a problem with that, as long as, you know what, an archer will just go plink plink and take that, Mr. Crusader man. Or like you said, that a cleric can go to sleep, buddy. And so there's strengths and weaknesses for everybody. You already said this. A character being solo probably isn't going to live, and so good. You can have that niche.
Yeah.
But you know, you're going to need somebody to back up your weaknesses there, pal.
You are. Now look how the archer can beat the crusader.
I can't read it.
All right, I'll read it to you. So skills aside, he's got the ability to recover arrows very efficiently, but
Okay.
he's got snapshot. When you make a ranged weapon attack, you may use snapshot to make an additional attack with that weapon. So if the archer has training with his bow or sling or whatever, which he should, he can do 3 attacks a round.
And he can only, and the Crusader can only soak one of them.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So that basically makes him equal again.
It does, but in different ways, and they're different in their ability to project force and to take hits.
Mhm.
And then each of the careers is like that. Some are a little bit more offensive, some are more defensive, some have.
Does the archer suffer if somebody gets into melee range with him?
No, because that's not realistic. Other than if they were like literally on you, which in our game would be in your combat space, like within 6 feet or less.
Okay.
Or within 3 feet or less. Because in reality, if you're any good with a bow, someone close to you is easier to hit, unless you panic.
I got you. I guess I was thinking that the really close aspect of it. I mean, I don't know how the game takes into account that, because, you know, if you've got a big, you know, you got a long sword or you got a bastard sword, and I've got a wooden bow, can I block your attack with it? Sure, I'm not going to want to. It could mess up my bow. But I mean, what am I going to do to hurt you back if we're kind of in this engagement where we can almost touch each other?
Sure. In that situation, assuming the archer survives the individual's approach and neither have killed the other, what the archer should do is move backwards and shoot the guy.
right. No, and but that's what I'm saying. I like, because you've seen this in D&D probably, especially modern D&D with the 5-foot rules and all that weird stuff, where it's like they just stand toe to toe. Well, I can't beat them, but if I move, I die. You know, that kind of nonsense.
So unless you have a special ability, which we do have in basic and in advanced, but unless you have a special ability, opportunity attacks only happen when someone moves through your space.
Okay. Well, that brings up my very important question for me then is, does this game require a battle map, or can you play Theater of the Mind? Because I'm a Theater of the Mind guy.
So I think a good answer to that is I currently have, other people are running games too, I think something like 5 or 6, 4 to 6 games a week, and the number is growing, happening regularly on the Guilded server. And that's all online.
And we play Theater of the Mind every week, and I love it. It's fun. But
Awesome.
I also like combat maps. I like them because you guys kind of use range bands, though, right?
We do.
Yeah, and see, to me, that's fine. That's enough granularity from me. Nearby, far away, close.
Yeah.
It's easy to describe in Theater of the Mind. So it was both, it's really nice.
And we also set it up so it's easy to convert between metric and imperial by making our combat spaces 2 yards or 2 meters, take your pick. Those are close enough that they might as well be the same at the distances we're talking about.
It's funny. That's what Earth Dawn did too. Weird. Drink.
Well, well, you know, a 1 yard space isn't realistic. You can reach further than that actually with a weapon. And so
Right.
2 yards, yeah.
Squares or hexes?
Yes, we actually wrote the rules to let you play on both.
Hexes are always superior, folks. Always. There isn't ever a single time in the history of the universe where a square is better than a hex. And don't give me this crap. Wood's better for buildings. No, it's not. The hex still fits in the building or outside the building. You can still move your little piece there. Okay, now we're moving on.
But
I think I agree with you, Max. I like hexes better.
Yeah, but we wrote it to be compatible with both because we obviously aren't trying to sell you miniatures and battle maps. And you may have all kinds of different assets that we want you to be able to play with. Yep. So we wrote the rules to do that.
Yep.
Okay, I think that was pretty in-depth. I know there's a couple other things we maybe could have touched on a little more, but I think it gives enough for folks. I'm going to move on to the next question. I'm going to read some super chats first, because I've been sitting here for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Wow, just everything jumped on me. Scroll down. I don't know why it scrolled all the way to the top. Okay, there's that one we did. Okay, here we go. Blackwall James for $5 says, the Mega Dungeon in Horde Wars Advanced is really interesting. Why are you spilling the beans on Horde Wars Advanced, sir? We don't have access to that, so we couldn't know.
Well,
Thank
actually,
you for the $5.
We looked at the current draft of that on their stream to answer your question. And if you want, it wouldn't be hard to look at now. But the short version is we tried to give you rules for how to run a Mega Dungeon in general in a page or two. And then we give you a sample Mega Dungeon in a couple pages. What we are not doing, we are explicitly not doing, is giving you a map. Because either A, there's a bunch of good dungeon generators online, actually, or B, which is what we encourage you to do, get a map you already have. Or go buy one from someone who makes them and play with that map. The dungeon is written so that you actually only need 4 specific rooms, and beyond that, the dungeon can be whatever you want. Like we described the kind of area. For example, there's limestone caves with a lot of flowstone, like on the walls and stuff. But you need to have like the main entrance room that should match. But you could have any cave system you want, map-wise, until you get to the point where it connects with the ruined city underneath this limestone cavern section. And so because again, we want people to play with stuff that they have and like. We're not trying to squeeze you for every ounce of money like a certain company I could name.
So you can only play with Z-scale miniatures, and so what you're saying though is that people should go and check out Black Lodge Games, maybe subscribe to them for a little hint, a little preview of this.
Sure. Well, also, if you buy Basic and contact me, you can get a hold of me on Twitter at DM_Blackwall. You can get a hold of me on Facebook, though I check that less often. You can email us, hordewars@blackwallgames.com. If you get a hold of me and you've purchased the book, send me your order number and I can send you an invite to our Gilded server. And you can play in the Mega Dungeon. We actually have people actively trying it out right now.
Cool.
Mega Dungeon.
Yeah.
On the Rumble side, I can't show it on the screen, unfortunately. Law Dog says, ask this question: are physical copies of Horde Wars available?
They are. So we just ordered another 100 books. We are selling soft covers currently for Basic. They're $25 plus shipping in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., understand that international shipping is insane. So unless you have a ton of money, I'd recommend getting the digital copy. But if you want to spend way more than the cost of the book, feel free.
Do you have any more of these? I'm sorry. Any of the hardbacks? No?
No. So the hardcovers were a limited run that we did. And we can produce more if there's enough interest, but Advanced is going to have to be hardcovers because of the size of the book.
And you're doing the same sort of ring binding? That's still what you got on the soft cover, the ring binding?
No. This is the actual soft cover we have in Michigan by Comics Spring.
Yep.
They did a really good job. We also do occasionally sell spiral bound. That's the
one. I like those. Those are nice.
Those are nice for DMs because they'll lay flat and you can like fold the book back on itself. But for players, generally speaking, the soft cover is going to be the best choice because it is the most economical, and they're pretty durable.
So, Randy, you need to sign your book, and then a year from now, put it up for auction because you'll be the only person in the world left with a hardcover.
Yeah, worth millions of dollars.
Millions.
Well, we would love to recoup the costs on Advanced. I think in total it will have cost Nate and I about $20,000 to bring it to market.
Woo.
That's a lot of money.
Most of which is artwork and printing costs. But then you've also got paying the editor, and some a little bit of convention expenses as well.
Screw it. I've decided my book is just going to be, I'm going to write that on a napkin and you're going to play it that way. Deal with it. Law Dog for another $1.99 here. Thank you very much. Says mutual abuse, dysfunction is better shared. There you go. The players can abuse it. The game master can abuse it. I don't know. I've been seeing that thing pop up recently on some videos that have been suggested to me. Is like, is it okay to use hold person or charm? Yes, it is always okay. If the players can, actually, no, there's no if. If it's in the book, yes. But if players can do it, you can do it to the players as well. Well, characters. But, yeah. God, I hate that idea. Like, you shouldn't do that to the characters. Why not? It's a tactic.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the effects in our game, again, to save time, help the game move, account for the fact that the character will attempt to resist the effect. And so rather than having a difficulty class and you rolling a bunch of triumphs to try to escape, we simply changed our timers compared to other games for how long a thing lasts to account for you actually struggling and trying to get out. Okay. For example, if a spider nails you with like a web effect, you're trapped for a D4 rounds if you fail the initial save.
Can you do the typical burn your way out of it, or is this just that accounts for that?
It accounts for that. And also, one of our spiders is a fire subtype spider, so for his webs, definitely not.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we covered all of that. Yeah, I'm ready to go into character creation after my wife hands me food for Cat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where she is. Where is she? Oh. Here you go, little girl. Go ahead and eat. All right. So, nope, that's not it. Character creation. So can you walk us through the process? Actually, I would like Randy to first. And then you can correct him where he makes his obvious mistakes. But walk us through the character creation process, and then what were some of the unique choices you feel that you could make as a character?
Oh gosh, there's so many of them. So you can, can I cheat? Can I look at the character creation thing to make sure I'm doing it right?
Absolutely.
So
you can also ask the designer if you want to. I'm just
I'm just saying.
I think it's available for you to display.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, so you pick your species, and there's a lot of good choices there. It's interesting that they choose that first, but the species will modify your attributes. Like I think an orc gives you, is it +3 on their fitness or what? Senses, okay. But you have a variety of races: orc, elf, halfling, dwarf, and human. You also get to calculate your hit points, which is 18. It's a base 18 plus your fitness score. Now your 3 attributes, that's modified by your race too. But basically you get, what is it for a human? Let's do a human. They get 6 attribute points to spread out amongst 4 different stats. And you can't have more than 4 into 1. And it's amazingly fast how quickly they give you your land speed and natural weapons and fighting styles with your race, and you get your hit points, and you choose 2 careers. Now this is where it gets a little more, if you have an idea of what you want to play, it's probably going to be a lot quicker, because as you said, you got 21 options for careers, and you're going to choose.
Is there a list right there that people can see? We don't have to dive into each one of them, but is there like a tabled list that we can see?
There probably is.
Well, in basic, no, but that's because each career is half a page, basic.
Yeah.
So it's like 11 pages to go through.
And the thing is, once you pick your 2 careers, you choose them, you only get the starting equipment of one of them. So you have to make a decision. Are you going to be, if you're going to play the Red Wizard Knight, do you want the Knight's equipment or do you want the Red Wizard's equipment? Now you get
Okay.
You get spells, but I mean like actual, like for example, here's an example. So if I were going to choose either the Grey Wizard or a Viking, if I choose a Viking, I get some crowns and marks. They use, instead of gold and silver, they use crowns, marks, and what's the bigger one?
The small one is pence.
Pence, yeah, sorry. And he gets ringmail, battle axe, shield, heater shield, traveling attire, flint and steel, and so on and so forth. Whereas the wizard gets staff, robes. So you have to decide if you want to have to purchase what other stuff you want. So you get a certain amount of starting gear, and then not a whole lot of you get a whole lot of crowns at the end, or not? I don't think.
No,
you
it's just in your gear.
It's just in your gear. Then you choose your skills, and each career, it says, grants you 2 or 3 specific skills and 1 skill of your choice. Do you have to choose the skills from one? You can choose from both the careers, right?
Yeah, you get the benefits of both careers. Yeah.
Oh, the benefits so you get all the skills of both. Yeah, that's
So with relation to skills, I'm gonna liken this to AD&D Second Edition for just a moment, because there's a misconception when people do Second Edition AD&D, and that warrior gets 3 weapon or non-weapon proficiencies to start the game, and people act like that's literally the only 3 things that person knows in his entire life, and knows nothing else outside of that. He knows how to ride a horse, build a fire, and whatever you pick for your third one, who knows? But are skills that pedantic in this game, or are they generalizations, or are they things that are just supposed to say this, your character is worldly, or your character understands what it means to live in a keep if you're a knight, or be a farmer, or be a knows a little bit about ships if you're a Viking, so something like that. But these are the things that make you an adventurer. Does it kind of separate those out? Like how does it handle those skills? Because I heard there's you only get like 2 or 3, so
per career, so you're really getting 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah. And so your skills are used to help you interact with the world in different ways. For example, you could use athletics to grapple someone. You could use culture, or art and culture, to perform music. You could use history and law to research an enemy. You could use the magic skill not just for attack rolls, but for magic power strain. You could try to push your magic with it. You could use burglary either for pickpocketing or for like trying to pick a lock. And so each of the skills lets you do things in the game world better than you could otherwise. Some of the careers give you a extra bonus for a specific. So for example, you might get a extra bonus for pickpocketing with the burglary skill if you're a pickpocket.
That's usually double your modifier, right? Is that how that works usually?
Yeah.
So if you have +2 is the general boost, right, for your skill.
Yep.
And so you have +2, but if you're a thief, you might get double that, so +4. And you can use other skills you're not trained in. You just roll on a D12. And those are any skills? I can't remember. Are skills modified by attributes? They are, right?
They are not.
They're not. Okay, my bad.
Attributes in our game do serve a few other functions, like for turn order, hit points, these kinds of things. But in general, function as saving throws.
Yeah. And they've categorized weapons into certain groups, and you pick a fighting style. Sometimes you get more. You get a couple. Almost everybody has a couple of fighting styles, which allows you, like, for I have they're not called blunt weapons. They're called maces and something else. So
it's actually right on the screen there. You'll see the fighting styles.
Oh yeah. Oh, but I missed it. So I'm looking in the book. Yeah, clubs, exotic hammers, improvised weapons, knives, lances, and they cover quite a few weapons. And you can. That's when you can get 2 attacks with the weapon. If I have, for example, hammers and axes, then whenever I use a hammer or an axe of any sort within that category, you get roll 2 attack dice or 2 attacks for that particular weapon. If I pick up a 2-handed sword and I don't have it, I only get 1 attack. So there is a big benefit to have a fighting style.
Does it ruin your attack roll at all, or is it just less attacks?
Just less attacks, I believe.
What I'm doing right now, just as a side note, is I'm getting into the gamer mindset that really irks me. For example, Pathfinder was the worst of it, but in like D&D Second Edition again, I got a -2 because I'm not proficient with it, so I can't use it.
Oh
What do
yeah.
you mean what do you mean you can't? You're -2. Who cares? You get
Yeah.
that mindset that goes on. So that's why I was asking if there's a penalty. Pathfinder, it'd be like, well, I get a +15 for this one, but I only have a +4 over here, so that means I'm horrible with it. It's a plus.
Right.
Pluses are always good. What are you talking
Right.
about?
So let's say that you've got that you're trained in combat. So you got a +2 combat. That means that character knows 4 fighting styles, because you get 2 plus your combat skill. So everyone knows at least 2.
Okay.
But so this guy, he's got four fighting styles, and he picks up a weapon he doesn't have the fighting style for, because I don't know, reasons. Maybe he's in a bar fight and he wants to bash someone with a chair. And he doesn't have improvised weapons. Okay. He still adds his combat bonus to the attack roll. It's just because he doesn't have the fighting style, he just doesn't get 2 attacks.
Okay, honestly, I like that. Again, that's a great balance between, because when people see those negatives, I think somebody'd be more okay with having that 1 attack without having the negative. I get 2 attacks, but I'm -2 to each roll. It's only a -2, but they see that minus and they freak out.
Yeah,
that's my take on it anyway.
I think this game, it fixes it. It plays on the psychology of what you're exactly saying, Max. It's not a penalty. You just don't get the extra boost. You don't get the 2 attacks.
Yeah.
But desperate times, you grab what you can and you use it. And I did it. I've done it with my priest before. You just have to do it. Bob Vecna in the chat, he says he hates optimization. It is not an optimization game. You don't have to play that. You don't have to. I mean, like I said, we rolled a character in Biggest Geek Us Up completely randomly. And me and Joe are like, wow, this dude is fine. I would play him. He's kind of cool. And we rolled every single thing random, everything. So that's kind of nice. So, I wouldn't say he definitely wasn't optimized, but he wouldn't be a punk. He had some things he was good at. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool. So far we've picked your species. You've picked your 2 classes. Just out of curiosity, was that you said Tavern Wench was one?
Yeah.
Was that? Oh no. I'm asking this all seriously. Was that based off of something like from Tika from Dragonlance?
Yes.
Oh, good pick. I didn't know that.
I mean, she was actually a pretty cool character in the book. So no, I like that conceptually. Okay.
And so you have your skills and then your fighting styles. You pick languages too, which are pretty important in the game if you use the default setting. Languages matter. Just because you're human, common doesn't get you through everything. You got to be able to speak the dialect or whatever language of each people.
Good.
I like
because
that.
there is no common.
Right, there is no common. I mean, it's just, you speak Drakkar and you speak Elf and you speak
I don't like it when every village you go to speaks a different language, but I do like it that it gives that mindset that you're on a world, where people are different as you travel further and further away, where you'll meet people that all of a sudden, okay, this person talks your language and another one. This one speaks with more of an accent. Now you're at that point where nobody speaks your language anymore because they're not exposed to it. I love it.
And then you get your starting equipment we mentioned, and you can purchase. Is there a way you can purchase? You just take it, right? Any starting. Oh, it gives you starting money. Oh, you get starting money within that. I forgot. So, like, for example, if you're a Crusader, you get 5 crowns and 10 marks. That won't buy you a whole lot, but he gets a bunch of other crap for free, so he's fine.
Well, it will buy you a decent weapon.
Will it? Yeah.
Basically, or
so you can do your job.
Toolkit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
Now this is
Randy,
where
come on. That shouldn't be a problem. You and I are similar in this one. We like to keep our players poor, so we should both be ready to go. Like, this is okay. We're cool with this.
Gives way too much treasure away. He's a great DM, but he gives way too much treasure away. He needs to cut it to a 4th.
No, but you have to remember that sometimes when I'm doing that, I'm stress testing the system.
Absolutely, I know. I'm just shaking your chain, bud. But
and he's also giving you all this stuff because it's telling you something. Guess what? It's about to happen.
That's a fact. Your priest is about to die. I know. We kind of were on the same wavelength. Oh, it's the combat. I'm down. But now this is one thing where if Joe wishes, he said, you need to tell him how I feel about the carrying capacity. My buddy Joe is not a fan of I think their equipment, their encumbrance rules are great. That's all the detail I want. Joe doesn't like the fact.
I'm sorry, I've just got it too small on my screen. What is the carrying capacity?
So a character has a maximum number of standard items. So is it standard items counts as 1, bulk counts as 2, and tiny is 6, 8.
Okay, I'm going to ask. I asked this question earlier, but I'm going to ask it now for this. Was this based on Free League? Because that's how Free League does it, and I absolutely love it.
No,
I call them. Sorry.
No, it was actually just based on playing in RPGs that mix and match different measurement systems, and it was super annoying. And we thought to ourselves, all right, how can we account for limited item storage and have it be easy to reference? And basically, it's a three size of personal items scale, and that seems to work pretty well. I've seen stuff like this in video games over the years, and in other things, but this was not any particular one. It was just us looking at these. You've got games that are doing stuff in pounds, fluid ounces, all over, and it's like, and they want you to calculate your encumbrance based on a certain weight limit, and you get ridiculous results. I mean, when I was running D&D, I got to the point of I kept a two-handed pickaxe in a closet as well as 50 feet of rope, in real life, so that when I had a player do something stupid, like carry 300 feet of rope, I took out 50 feet, real life, handed it to him, and went, "Where?
Yep.
Show me where you're going to fit 6 of these."
But it just says 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm so yeah, sure, we'll follow the rules. You can carry that, and everyone in town will mock you for looking like a spool of thread.
Right, yeah. No, seriously, and I mean this in 100%. This is very similar. I'm sure there's a tweak in there. Again, I can't read it, but it's very similar to the Free League system, and I love it because, like you said, it allows you to carry the stuff you need to carry. And go ahead and define it a little bit more after I say this to folks. But in Free League, you have normal items, which is, I call it one line, because it's one line on the encumbrance chart. Yeah. If you have heavy items, which is 2 lines, and then you have small items, which is a half line, so you can put two on there. And then tiny items, which really don't count until you have a whole ton of them. But I love that conceptually because it's easy to maintain, but you're limited. If those want to be 6 weapons, well, I hope none of them are bulky. You can do it, I suppose, but you're you're saying a spool of thread. Well, this person's gonna look like a pincushion. Yeah. But that's all you're carrying, though. Where are you putting your food? Where are you putting your other stuff? So I like that simplicity, but meaningfulness of it.
That's something that had become forgotten in my games. So I really appreciate it in Horde Wars, because I like that we have to think about, we had a war wagon, which we lost in that Drakarian adventure. Good God, that was horrible. But anyway, it helped us carry so much stuff, and you appreciate backpacks, and you appreciate pouches, and you appreciate bandoliers. I mean, because you want those extra slots. Like I said, Joe wanted to carry 400 scrolls like in D&D, but you can't. So,
yeah, and we do have an item that has his name on it. Proverbially, it's not literally on the item.
Joe's item.
Yeah, Joe. We have an item called a Wizard's Repository. That is a book that can hold 12 scrolls in it, weightless.
Oh yes, he would love that.
So what do you put the limitation on scrolls? Because myself, I didn't put too many limitations on scrolls, because I figured you just roll them up and put them in your scroll case. You couldn't have 100 in there, but if you wanted 5, maybe 10, something like that, I didn't have that big of a deal with it.
So they're standard items.
Oh, okay.
1 scroll is 1, and that's the thing that Joe doesn't like. I don't mind it, because scrolls are powerful. It's even at a bit, I don't want to. You can argue whether it was giant papyrus or whatever. My point is, it's a powerful, at least as a game mechanic. If you didn't control that a little bit, because we have a lot of scrolls in our party, it adds to your spell repertoire massively.
Oh yeah.
Okay, just 1 second here. Well, here, how about this? I'm not exactly sure what he means by this, and I want to get some clarification, because I don't think he's trying to be a dick about it. It's just something. So Gunther the Mad on Rumble, I can't put it on the screen because it's Rumble. I can put normal comments up, but not the actual ones that people pay for. For $5, says, I think of encumbrance systems like this, like Deal-A-Meal. And I don't exactly know what he meant by that in terms of, because it's limiting. I understand what it was. Yeah, I remember the Richard Simmons thing. But hopefully he clarifies that in a moment. Because I'm curious, like oh yeah, okay, it makes sense when you say it like that, or if maybe he is trying to bust your balls. I'm not sure. Law Dog said, okay, this is back on the physical copies thing. I said that you were out of stock, but I just want to verify for the hardcovers you're out of stock, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thanks again for the $5,
But
Law
we do
Dog.
have soft covers in stock.
Soft covers are in stock, and how do they get that?
They can get that by emailing us with their mailing address and how many books they'd like. HordeWars@blackwallgames.com. Also, if they need a repeat, they can just contact me over Twitter or Facebook, DM_Blackwall, or on Facebook, it's Blackwall Games.
And soft scores are different, and soft covers are different than these, right? With the
Correct.
ring. Okay, these are cool too, though. This is one of my favorites. So.
Yeah, Spiral Bound, we may do another print run of those,
Cool.
but that would be in the fall.
Gotcha.
Okay, I see what he's saying now. He said pick what you want, but there's a limit based on quantity. Okay, yeah, that I get what you're saying now. Yeah, I like it. You know, I might not. This is just off the cuff thinking. I might be a little bit with Joe on this one when it comes to scrolls, but I also don't have a problem limiting people when it comes to things that are powerful. So, you know, I'd have to look into that. You know, it's that balance between, realism and just the verisimilitude of the setting. And I think if that's how the setting is, to me, verisimilitude of a setting is more important. So it might not meet Earth reality, but as long as everybody is suffering the same,
right,
same issues in the game, NPCs, PCs, and so forth, then it really shouldn't matter because it's just the way that universe is set up.
Oh yeah. Now I should mention, I have just been informed via text. In about 35 minutes, I will have to go.
Okay.
For various real life responsibilities, and that
not a problem.
Hopefully that'll work okay. With
one thing that is cool, I want to say with the scrolls in particular that DM Blackwall does, people that have scrolls, he literally rolls for them which ones they might have, and they only have so many. And I would also reiterate, Max, if you're going to decide, you always err on the side less for the players. That's how you do it.
Oh, of course, right.
Well, if you want a challenging game, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've always felt that I like it when characters get stuff, not normal crap like rope or whatever, but when they're trying to upgrade armor, when they're trying to buy new spells or scrolls or get a +1 weapon, so to speak. First of all, I don't give that out to low-level characters anyway. I want it to be a decision that they make that's meaningful. It's one of the reasons I loved Earthdawn so much was because when you got that magic item, you weren't just throwing it away when you got the next better one. You were binding it to you, and it was going to grow with you. And I love that concept. So yeah. So when it comes to treasure, I want you to know that when you got it, you earned it. Number one, and number two, you appreciate it. It is not. I don't have a desire to take it away from you next week. Okay, I don't do nonsense like that, barring a player, somehow tricking me or screwing me over or something like that. And then I'll still make it look like, it was his idea. So that's my point when I say I keep characters poor. But let's talk about this. We'll do this one last thing here in terms of the game mechanics. And then I think the next segments we can kind of just tie together. We'll get you out of here in time. Cool. How does the game change for the player and for the character, whether separate or together? Do you want me to keep showing this on the screen, or should I drop it?
Yeah, we can drop it. It's fine.
Okay. So how does the game change from low through mid levels into high levels in terms of how the player plays the character and how the character grows?
So for in basic, the main changes you'll get are perks and features as your character gains levels. You'll get a few hit points to a level after first level, but so you'll have ways to either get a new skill, get extra uses of a limited use ability, choose to gain some extra hit points, get better at a given skill. There are different things you can do with the perks and you get those at every even level. So 2, 4, 6, so forth. And then the feature gives you a whole new ability, like a new interesting thing that you can do.
Are those class-based? So like only people of your class get those, or is that something you pick from a big list?
It's something you pick from a big list. There are usually some form of prerequisite. Usually it's training in a specific skill.
Yep. It's hard to get spells if you don't have magic or supernatural.
I think in basic we've got like 50 of them or so,
Good
and
selection.
there should be 60, 65 in advanced. So you have a pretty wide variety to pick from.
Okay, sounds good. Any sort of you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but well, maybe we can dive into it a little bit if you can talk about it. The domain play aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's not going to be as integrated as say like axes, for example. But how is that going to be integrated in the game, and is it optional? Because then there's people like me. I don't care about domain play. I want to be the main character of the story from level 1 to level 20, whatever the end happens to be for yours, or until my character dies or retires. That's just the way I like to play.
So you can do that with our domain play system. It's not like you have to retire to run the land.
Okay.
And for that matter, if your game master wants to do it, and it will work well with whatever your play group is, you could potentially start as the ruler of a domain. I don't recommend that for a new game master. That's some extra work you've given yourself by agreeing to that. But once you're used to running a given system, once you're used to running Horde Wars, then yeah, you could totally have that. I've even run games in several different game systems where the core concept was the buy-in for the party. Why they were a party is they were a single noble house and its retainers.
Oh.
So you're playing Dune.
Yeah. Well, and they were trying to advance the interests of their house. They were trying to gain power in different ways. And that can make for a really fun campaign. So domain play doesn't have to mean your character's not doing stuff. Okay. But we have a chapter on domain play in advanced, which covers ruling a region, including some sample regions for a game master to give to their players and to see how to do it. Seasonal events, developing your region, like building it up in different ways, making special buildings and fortresses and what their benefits are, hiring servants and retainers, raising armies. We have some siege engine rules there. We've also got a mass combat system in there. And I think like 8 or 10 sample siege engines, rules for sappers, and so on. And then the same idea is true for nautical adventures. You don't have to play a seafaring campaign, but if your characters wind up on the ocean, we have a whole chapter for nautical adventures, and you could play a nautical adventure campaign if you want to.
Okay. Well, I think it's time to move on to the next segment. Like I said, since you're in limited time, and there are a couple more questions I want to get, but on a totally different topic. For your purposes, do you think you've expressed what you can do with the game at this point? Everything that people would need to know, or is there anything we've missed on terms of the game mechanics?
I think some of it on the monster side we've missed, but that's so basically a lot of the monsters and beasts have some way to do an extra die of damage, a certain condition or behavior that they can cause usually, to incentivize the game master to play them in a particular way. For example, zombies do an extra die of damage if they're next to one of their allies.
So horde tactics.
Yeah, so they're incentivized to swarm. Whereas you've got other creatures that do an extra die of damage during the first round of combat. So they're incentivized to ambush you.
Okay.
You've got other ones that do an extra die of damage against the wounded. So if you're bleeding, they'll hurt you more.
Oh yeah, there's some of those. Oof.
No, I'm loving the sound of this because it absolutely makes sense. And I hate to say it, but for those players or those game masters, like, well, I don't want to kill the characters, whatever. Look, this creature would go for the kill.
It would. And we've got other creatures that basically, if you wound them, you piss them off and they do more damage.
Yep. The Ranger.
So we've been talking about zombies, right? My favorite creature in Earth Dawn is the Cadaverman, because it's just like, whoa, with one attack. You hurt it bad enough, it turns into this 4 attack per round spaz. Like what just happened here?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, our bears behave that way.
Oh yeah, they're tough.
No, I like that. Now, how many of those different features are there? If you don't know off the top of your head, that's fine. But I mean, like
11
5
or
different
12.
features, 100 different features, 10.
Of those kinds, I think 11 or 12.
Nice. Okay, so very diverse gameplay for the monsters. And I
Yeah.
did have a monster question for you. I did choose to skip it for the purposes of time, so I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm liking the sound of this, from the character creation side of it to just the game mechanics and how it goes around. Yeah, personally, I like to roll initiative every round, but I can live with that. But other than that, no. I mean, everything about the game is go, go, go without rushing you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. Combat is meaningful. Randy down there keeps talking about how you can't play a priest properly. Apparently,
I think that's it. I think that's the rule.
but adventuring is supposed to be hard, isn't it?
It is.
Agreed.
If everybody could do it, everybody would do it, because apparently you get everybody who does it gets rich. So I think it hits all of those target marks for both the player and the game master. So we've already read the super chats here, so I'm just going to put up the like, subscribe, share thing. We'll go into the last little segment here. We'll just have a 3-segment episode. So what we're going to talk about in the next segment for folks is we're going to talk. No, we're going to skip that. Actually, we're going to skip a lot of that. We're going to talk about how the community has responded to this, and maybe if we have a minute of time, we'll look at a little bit of the future of Horde Wars. But I think he's done a good job of expressing what the future is already. So stay tuned for that in just a little bit. All righty. So, the question was, what kind of creatures and NPCs can they encounter, and what special abilities? But you just answered that, so that's good. I do want to talk about this because you said you have that gilded server that's got a whole ton of people playing. How has and be honest, because I actually want to know what people have been saying are the problems as well. But generally speaking, how has I can tell you, when people found out that you were going to be on the show, they were making demands of me. You want to read his book? You're going to do this. You're going to love it. You're going to whoa, calm down, simmer down a little bit here. So there's obviously some positive side. So how has the community generally been about Horde Wars?
Pretty good. We've I think we've sold 300 or 400 copies so far. Game hasn't even been out a year, and we have no advertising budget at all. It's literally word of mouth.
Nice.
Buy it. It's awesome.
And
from Randy's mouth to your ears.
Yes. And so really one of the best ways we found to sell the game is demoing it, showing people, hey, come play, give it a try. I gambled with a guy. He was like, I don't know if I want to try it. I was like, I think I offered to refund his money if he didn't like it or something. I was like, I bet you'll like it. He not only likes it, he's quit playing D&D entirely. He dropped Wizards of the Coast products and is only playing ours.
Well, that's great, because one of the things I've noticed around the hobby is when people drop D&D, if they go to another named game, say like Palladium or Free League or something, they might stick with that game for a while. But when it comes to the more indie creators, they very rarely, in my experience, actually stay with the indie creators. Like, okay, yeah, your game was fun, that was niche, okay, whatever. I'd play it at a convention, but they again, just my experience, very rarely just stick with it. When you get somebody that can go away from a well-known game to, let's be honest, you're an indie creator, to an indie game, and then say, I'm sticking with this, I think that's the best selling point you could have.
I think this game sells itself when you play. I think people will get, like I said, to me, it scratches a lot of itches. I think I would like to see them do a full-on world book, but I don't know if DM Blackwall wants to do that. Maybe I should do it with him and write it all up, but I don't have that kind of time.
Indeed.
My God, so much work.
You just volunteered yourself, Randy. Good job.
You are getting a full chapter on the setting in advance.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
I think it's really cool. But
we again want some efficiency, so we're giving you a 2-page spread for each of the 8 major nations.
Cool.
Each of the 8 people groups that you can encounter. And then we're also giving you some additional content beyond that, including bonus content for the starting area that we had offered in Basic. So Basic, there's a sample adventure and like 12 other adventures you can go on in that kind of same area.
Yeah.
I think we upped that to 19 or something in advance.
Yep.
Again, I like that because that's enough information for me to understand the setting, but still make it mine compared to, Randy handles it differently than say I would necessarily. I definitely, I like that balance. It seems like everything about the game that you're doing, Randy said it earlier, but is about this balance between having too much and not having enough. And it sounds like you've really hit that sweet spot. What on just from got to be fair here, a little honesty on the negative side, is there anything that people said that like you said before, the game's probably not going to be the best for you if you're going to do a horror setting?
Correct.
Okay, and I'm not asking for dirt, and I'm not asking for like, oh, your game sucks because of this, but are there anything that's like, what, man, I wish your game did this a little better?
Interestingly, that's one of the things that one of the reasons that we released Basic was so that we could get feedback, from a wider audience before we released Advanced. Much of the writing for Advanced was done, or a draft of it was done before we even released Basic. But we wanted to get some feedback. And so some of our customers, some of our first couple hundred customers, gave us feedback that is incorporated into the Advanced book. Okay. And so some of the things that people are like, man, I wish you could do this. You can do it now within that book. So
the takeaway from that for everybody is they're listening to the community. Obviously, You're making the game for you, but to be fair, you're listening to the community as well. If there's a hole that you can fix, you're trying to fix it. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and then in other cases, there are genre inappropriate requests where we listen and we're like, not for this game. Mm-hmm. But for example, so in Horde Wars, you can only benefit from a healing potion once, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in the game that we're working on developing currently, that's in playtesting, that Dark Future one, you can take painkillers, the drug, more than once, but every time you do, you gain a level of affliction. So what about a death spiral and get some of the effects of addiction and this kind of thing?
Oh. Well, that makes sense for a game that's kind of a cyberpunk-ish style game. That absolutely makes sense to be addicted to everything. So like it fits the setting. So when do we get Horde Jammer?
So as far as that one, we are hoping to. That's gone through 2 rounds of playtesting so far.
Oh, really? There is one? Oh.
Well, no, not Horde Jammer.
Okay.
Horde Jammer, if you mean
Horde Wars in Space.
Horde Wars in Space, Spelljammer.
So Horde Wars in Space, we are working on, but not in the medieval setting, as a sci-fi game.
Okay.
So that's in development. It's gone through 2 or 3 rounds of playtesting. It's currently on the back burner because the reality is, the science fiction audience is the smallest. If you compare that to fantasy, or if you compare that to superheroes, there are far more people who will buy those things.
And so science fiction is what I'm writing. It also requires a lot more information.
Yes. Weirdly, we have a pretty solid, pretty early, we got a pretty solid space combat system where we were able to handle 50 different ships. With a group of 7 players. That's testing well. One of the things that we needed to develop actually was our character end stuff. And so that was actually why I made the original draft of Horde Wars, was to try to think about character abilities in a different genre. And that helped a lot. And our playtesters liked it so much that we switched to developing Horde Wars full time. We actually started with a sci-fi game and are delaying it partly due to potential audience size, and also because we wanted to make sure we really got those player abilities nailed down.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely harder in sci-fi. Yep.
It seems like fantasy is probably to me, it's the easiest of all the genres. It should be the easiest because it has, I don't know, it just feels like it's been around forever, and everybody can think about dragons and wizards and stuff pretty quickly. That's just me. It feels like
and you can build better walls too in your setting, so to speak, by saying these people do these things because they are, they're this certain race, or these people think a certain way because people back then just did. This country doesn't like your country because of whatever reason, and you can do it in 2-3 sentences instead of having to write, a 3,000-year history of a spacefaring empire to try to figure out why, this one doesn't like that one, or whatever. So
exactly. And so but yeah, so we have the advanced, the writing is done. We're just waiting on editor, layout, and artwork. The Dark Future one with the superhero and cyberpunk theme is in the third round of playtesting. We were very blessed for Horde Wars. I think we had over 100 unique playtesters, and we got in over 1,500 hours of playtesting.
That's awesome.
And so
have you thought about just hitting it up on Kickstarter at some point for the purpose of like, hey, like we've got the game done, but let's get some backing on this and just throw it, or Indiegogo, whatever, backer kit, whatever want to use. But
for one, those tend to take a significant percentage of the money. They do. Kickstarter, for example, is like 20%. And there are concerns doing it that way. For example, you could get a bunch of backers outside the country and get nailed in unexpected ways in shipping costs, which is a product, right? And so we've thought about that, and for at least for Horde Wars, we're basically paying out of pocket ourselves, along with help from a couple of friends who are interested in the game and have played it. In one case, from like day one of our starting testing.
Nice.
And then selling it through our own website. We hired a guy to build a website for us. He's starting work like next week. So we were gonna delay it, but another year or so. But we decided of building our own website. But we decided that for handling physical shipping of the books for Advanced, it would be easiest to just run it ourselves, rather than using a third party.
Max, we don't care. I have a question for Todd too. As someone that, as all of us, we dabble with the idea of making our own game, and I've seen how hard Todd works. But I have a question. When you first play tested, how much of your Horde Wars was written down? I mean, how much did you have written to run the game with?
I wrote half of basic in a week.
And you played from that half manuscript? Okay.
Now, there were some cleanup, some abilities needed to be refined, written to be clearer to understand, or written differently to account for like page spacing and this sort of thing. But the core of basic, I wrote in a week. Yeah. Now, all the writing total took, I don't know, like half a year or something.
Right.
But the core of the game was very quick.
A lot faster than mine. I've been working on mine for 4 years. To be fair, I've changed it up about 40 times. So the last long form question that I'll ask you here is, can you share any tips or advice or whatever for new players and new game masters who want to start with Horde Wars? So we got a couple people already in chat who bought it, and there might be a couple who are like, maybe. Well, can you give them some good advice to get started as both players and game masters?
Well, sure. First of all, if you've got a group of friends who are interested in these kinds of games, this is a good one to do as a one-shot just to try it out. And if you like it, great. You have a ton of content just in basic. In advanced, you'll have even more if you choose to buy it. And if you don't like it, it was $7. You haven't even paid for a movie ticket. That being said, we have a adventure called Goblin's Attack that is written out for you. We have a number of adventure hooks and descriptions for how to run the adventure for like a dozen more adventures. But we have one where it's actually walking you through step by step, run that adventure. Yep. Even if you have people who just might want to try this kind of game and have never played an RPG before, run that for them. There are sample characters in the back of the book. You don't have to spend time on character creation. You can just grab them and play.
Yep.
And then if you
find those D12s.
Yeah. Yep. Have D12s. Yep.
Then go to town on building your own characters. Yep. And then as far as if you're an individual person who wants to play and you just don't have a group, like I said, we do operate a server where if you buy the game and let us know you bought it with your order number, you can come and play with us. I run games typically at least once a week, usually twice a week. We have customers running games on there. And Nate also runs games. Yep. So that you get the chance to play with the people who wrote the book. One of our artists will play with you sometimes. She signs up and plays in games. So if you want to talk with people who are actively involved in production, you can. We also put playtest material on there, and solicit feedback.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you again because you just answered another question I didn't ask you. So that was no. It's just I had a question on here about your adventure in there, but so I'm glad you put that out there for folks. Remember, there's a lot to this, guys. It's a very small book, but there's a lot to it. I said at the beginning that hey. The way the space is used very efficiently. You're going to get a lot of information compared to like 2-3 other books out there. So there's a lot that you're going to get out of this book. Don't let it fool you like that. So
so just to be clear, basic is 194 pages that you're getting for the $7. Advanced should be about 330 pages. I say about because we have some full-page artwork that may or may not make the cut because we're waiting to get the artwork to see how it looks.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also, when I counted the pages, I forgot to add the sample characters at the back, so that'll up it a little bit.
Randy, did you have anything to add in terms of advice for new players and game masters from your perspective?
I think one of the first things to do is to be open to some of the style that they encourage in the rules. I think I would also say that be bold when you play. Don't be afraid. Just go for it. There's you can do stuff. You don't have to feel.
What's the worst that could happen? Your character die? It's okay.
Make another one up in 20 minutes, dude. I can give you a pre-gen. You're good to go. But I think it will be people that want a game that's got enough meat to chew on and yet doesn't take forever. You get a turn and you're not waiting forever. I mean, you have to watch yourself. Sometimes your turn's back around before you know it. So you got to be ready, and that makes the game more engaging. So I would just say, for me, I would say don't be. I mean, some people will be put off by. I think that people can be put off by the fact that they're kind of an independent group and like, oh, what kind of game can they make? But this is a robust game that I've talked with Todd a lot about it. They've thought hard about this game. They've spent a lot of time in their life thinking about it. And it's a well put together game. It's not perfect. If I had to give it a rating out of 5, I'd give it 4.5. It would get a 5 if I had helped think of it. If I had thought of the game, he's only getting a 4.5 from me.
Let's be honest. Literally, no game out there is perfect, right? I mean, we all have our favorites, but all of our favorite games, we find things that we quibble about or change or whatever. No game is perfect. There's no such thing. So
I'm actually anticipating, speaking of new people, and I said it before, but I have a family reunion in 2 weeks, and I've got not real young, but probably 18 to like 24-year-olds. They were the young kids are getting older, and they're gamers. And I always run a game for them at the reunion. And I took 13th Age last year, and they had a good time, but it was almost too much. I think they're going to dig this.
That's awesome.
They're going to really get into this game and like it. So I'm excited about running for. They're mostly my cousins, so it'll be fun.
I went into this game literally knowing nothing about it. And I'm leaving this going, where do I throw my $7? So, I mean, and I'm not saying that because he's on the show. I would still be positive, if we didn't get along or something like that, because I'm not going to be a dick for the sake of being a dick. But at the same time, no, seriously, like when I said that these certain things speak to me and this is what I've been looking for in a game, there it is. So, yep, I'll make that one little initiative house rule where we're going to roll every round and, we'll go with there. But other than that, like, I have to at least try it. No, I really do. I have to try it because if it does some of those things that I've been looking for in games, like my favorite one that you said tonight, out of all the good ones, the favorite one that you said tonight was when, hold up, let me stop that arrow that's coming to get you. I can throw my magic out there and interrupt something. And I'm just like, I've been waiting for a game to do something like that, with that balance between, well, this spell is a fireball, but I'm going to use it in this different way. It's still fire based, but I'm going to use it in this way. So a little risk involved, but I can shape it a little bit. I love that. I just freaking love that. So,
that's great.
And those aren't the only things. It's just I don't have an hour and a half to say stuff. So I hope people do check it out. I'm going to put this on the screen at the same time I ask the final question, which is a quick one. And that's how can viewers stay up to date on the latest news about Horde Wars?
Well, as far as the other games we have in development, the best way you can do that, assuming you're not in the Great Lakes area. If you're in the Great Lakes area, you can come game with us in person at conventions or at home games. We have a bunch of people who've done that. So that is an option. But if you're not in the Great Lakes area, you can, if you buy a copy of Basic, simply contact me and Nate. Let us know that you've got it with your order number. We can get you on the Gilded server, and not only will you be getting some of the ability to play some of our current game, but you'll be able to see playtest content for the games we have in development and actually help test it. Our third round of playtesting for the Dark Future game, I'm hoping in like a month or so, should be starting on the Gilded server.
Oh, I should get in on that. I like your super stuff.
Thanks.
And I think I'm right, Todd, you and Nathan will be at Big Geek Con this year in the end of September. So they'll be there running games like madmen.
We're doing that. And we got, I think we're running like 4 or 5 games there. Yep. And then earlier that month, we're doing Grand Con, where I think we're running like 9 games.
I hope to be there to help you out.
Which, you can come play with us in person. And if you want to buy a book, we should have, I don't know, probably 50 or 100 copies there with us to sell.
Nice.
Awesome. So, hey, everybody, go practice your Uper accent so you can go up there to Michigan. And
you got to go a little further north for that.
That's fair. Well, Minnesota, it went south for us. Like I lived right next to the Twin Cities, and growing up, a lot of people still had it. So, well, I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to usurp all of your time. And I know you said that you were, you do need to go, but I do want to thank you for being here, Randy. I would like to talk to you for a few more minutes if possible.
Before I go, one thing I did want to say, Max, is if you do pick up the game, let me know. I'd love to. I mean, I'd love to hear how it goes for you playing right out of the book. But also, I'd love to play a game with you. Like you can come, join in a game on Gilded, and I'm really curious to see how that would go. I don't know if you have the Forever DM experience, but if you want a chance to just play and try something goofy, that's a good time to do it.
You lost me with the word goofy.
Well, I anticipate.
I'm that guy that everybody says, oh, Max doesn't like to have fun. No, my having fun is being serious.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But in my experience, a lot of the Forever DM guys will be pretty out there with their character the first time, and then after that they kind of calm down.
I've actually been really lucky, and I mean this in my life and where I've gone other than coming here, that I've had the opportunity to be both player and game master. I've always been in a circle where either one person was a Forever DM or we kind of just bounced around. So while I've ran many games, I've probably been a game master more than I've been a player. At the same time, I mean, I'm a player in Bears game right now as a player in RPG game. So I've got both sides of it. But yes, I am going to buy the game, tying me down to find the time when I can actually play. That's the problem. So, but I definitely will.
I don't have to tie you down. You can simply look on that server, and I currently have listed something like 30 open game slots over the coming months.
Yep.
That I'm running. You can just look, was it created by Blackwall? If it was, I'm running that.
Very
and
organized.
You can sign up for one that works with your schedule.
Sounds good. What's this? And what is this? It came for the Horde Wars video, staying for the Earth Ton shout out. Been playing Horde Wars for a few months now and have to say I'm a huge fan. It's probably now my go-to game for teaching.
Yep.
I was gonna try to dive into some things like that if we had more time, and we'll try to have you back on. I'm not really doing interviews like this much anymore, or conversations, at least on this show. But I think this would be worth, especially after I get the game, be worth you coming back. Maybe when Advance comes out, or when there's we have more time to talk about some of the nuances. We'll see what kind of questions come up.
Sure. In fact, if you want to, in about what did the editor tell me? In about a month or so, then forward. If you want, we could even do a few spoilers from Advanced, because at that point, the text will be finalized. Like right now, the text is done on my end, unless the editor catches problems.
They always do.
They do. She finished, I think, chapter 12 earlier this week, and that's like 60 pages of monster stat blocks.
Okay. No, that sounds great. I mean, folks here love to hear spoilers. You know how it is, and anything we can do to help sell it out more. I mean, nobody has said a single negative word about it in chat. And even, when Palladium comes on, somebody's saying a negative word. When we had McCrease on, somebody said something bad to say about Axe for some reason. So look, you might be the first person to actually get away scot-free without somebody saying something negative. So
hold on, then I got something to say.
Oh, Randy has to stir it for everybody.
I've already said it. I should have been in on that crap.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you had me. I'm glad it worked out. Nate and I are really excited about the game system we've been working on. I do think it's a really solid system. I hope lots of people try it. I think that as far as cost versus effect, bang for your buck, you are getting a far better deal from us in terms of the amount of content than you're going to get from most of the large companies. And maybe more importantly, we'll actually talk with you and play games with you.
What? You're not elitist jerks? What's wrong with you? When you sell another 100 books, you will be.
I know. You probably won't take much.
It might make it harder to get in the game, but
well, that's why Gilded servers just grow, right?
Yeah.
So more and more people. No, I really do. I appreciate you coming on. I didn't know how this was going to go. I didn't know if I was going to like the game. I've been more and more reticent about doing these kind of promote my game type stuff recently. But a few people have just come out of the woodwork. Like, if you don't do this, Max, we are not going to like you anymore. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And no, it's been a great time. Learned a lot of good stuff. I can't say it enough. I really do like the sound of it. I hope the folks out there, hope you guys like the sound of it. Do you have any social media you want to shout out for folks again one more time?
Oh, sure. So DM_Blackwall on Twitter, or X, as they've renamed it. Facebook, you can find me, Blackwall Games. And then email, you can contact us, hordewars@blackwallgames.com. And that is
I'm not going to put that in the description. You've said it a few times simply because you know what happens. Bots start getting a hold of stuff and so forth. But he said it a few times throughout these different videos. Check that out.
And the reason, though, that we have that email account really at all is to process book orders. So if you want to order a physical copy of Horde Wars, or if you want to reach out with a question, or if you've bought a copy and you want to make sure and you want to get an invite to the Gilded server, that's what that email is for. If it got hacked, it'd be annoying, but it's tied to basically nothing important. It is just for communicating with the public.
Well, cool. All right, then. Well, I'm sorry, we're looking at something else over there. No, I appreciate you coming on. I can do the Minnesota goodbye for 4 hours. Everybody knows that here. But you're what? Let me put up my little subscribe thing so we can actually officially end this. You're welcome to hang out as long as you want. I know you said that you need to go, and that is perfectly fine. Again, folks, please check it out. The links to buying Horde Wars are in the description. There's no reason not to check it out. And because of time crunch, maybe I won't make this one wait a month. We'll see. But if you wait a month, just know Advanced might be coming out soon. Might be something to look forward to.
We're aiming for, like I said, December or February. And as requested in the chat, that was Horde Wars at blackwallgames.com.
All right. So Lawdog asks one last time. We'll finish on this. Can you say the email address slowly and clearly? Because Lawdog apparently has audio issues.
Horde Wars at blackwallgames.com. Also, Lawdog, you follow me on Twitter, man. You can just DM me.
Cool. Lawdog's been a really good supporter of our channel as well. He's one of the first people to tell me that he likes this new format. So awesome. When he speaks, we listen. But seriously, though, this was a good time. I'm glad I did this. Well, I was skeptical, not of you. It's just I am not a fan of doing this in general. Anytime I got somebody coming on, I'm always like, oh man, like how am I going to screw this one up? But no, this is.
All right.
This
Well,
is it.
I should go.
Yep.
My stepdaughter awaits, as does the person who texted me. But it's been great. I really
Well, I appreciate
you having me on. And Randy, do you want to say something?
See you, Todd. Take care, bud.
All right. See you. Good night, guys.
So there you guys go. Horde Wars. Let me just put a couple of things on the screen here real quickly. I'll do it this way so I don't have to change stuff out. Click on you, share. I said share. There we go. You got Horde Wars over there on Big Geek Emporium. Look at that. You can even scroll in and see it pixel by pixel if you want to, just by hovering over it. And it's over there. Whoop, that's not what I was looking. There we go. It's on Drive-Thru RPG as well. So $7 wherever you go. And I gotta tell you, look at that 5-star rating already. Boom, boom. He paid them, didn't he? He paid them. No, I really did come out of that. One of the things that happens here, since we're in kind of the segment 5 now, I could say, is that people will say like, well, yeah, you had DM Blackwall and you got to have me on. It's like, I honestly, here's the thing. I don't want to be the shout out everybody's game channel. I just don't have an interest in it. I'm sorry. I don't.
Sure.
Look, a lot of you guys are people I like. You're friends of mine. I know like the Basic Expert puts out a bunch of stuff. I'll happily show it a stuff. Victor pops on the show. He's got his stuff. I'm not trying to name drop. They're not the people causing me any problems, by the way. But there'll be people like, you talk to this guy, you need to talk to me. And it's like, I don't have an interest in that. I want to talk about gaming, not, I want to talk about the games and like how we use them, not in trying to shill somebody's. Because if he were to come out and if this, imagine he would have came on here and it'd be everything I hate in the game. It would have been like just a complete Pathfinder Redux.
Right. It would have been such a chore for you to get through the whole thing.
Right. Because I'm not going to be a complete jerk to him. Now, I might say something like, I don't know if I'd like that in the game. And like I did about the initiative thing. But to be fair, come on, that initiative thing is that minute, right?
It can be out the window. You're good.
Yeah, right. But if I didn't like the whole thing, and not every indie game out there I like, when people say, there are certain words that people say, and he said some of them today that instantly had me going,
Right.
But he described his game. Well, the first one is, I did this to speed up play. I hate that concept. I just like, because usually that means you're dumbing the game down to a point where it's meaningless.
It can be.
He didn't do that.
No, he did not. I think it's just, again, I would reiterate that it's turn action. So you're not taking forever. Players are not taking forever in combat deciding on what to do. That's where you get your speed.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a stupid, and you could argue that it's not, you only got a few choices on your turn, which to me is good. I don't want that analysis paralysis crap all the way. 3rd edition, I loved it at one time. I don't know if I can ever go back to it.
As a theater of the mind person, I want to be able to react the way my character would react.
Yes.
Have the rules facilitate that. That doesn't mean there has to be a rule for literally everything I can think of. There just needs to be a framework in place that says, okay, if you're going to try something wacky, you get the wacky component on there, which might be a penalty or whatever, or the rule of cool on there if people want to use that term, which gives you a bonus one time or something like that. And it seems like he has that stuff built in to the game where it's like you don't have to consider you're on high ground, you're 40 feet away, not 42 feet away. The grass is slippery though, so whatever. You don't have to figure all of that out. You just have some basic concepts and boom, but meaningful. And I intentionally kept saying that during the time he was on, because I wanted to say that, there's not a lot, but where he has it, it's meaningful. And it really does sound like something I would enjoy. I'll have to read it to verify, but what he said has me going, I think I like this. So.
Yeah. And he has little, you can see, I don't think he took it from 13th Age, but he has some things that remind me of 13th Age, but done in such a way that people that find the story gamey elements of 13th Age to make them turn their stomach, they won't face that here at all. And I think to me the range bands, I don't know, I am done counting squares. I am so done counting squares.
So when you say range bands, there's a couple different ways that can be done. How is it done in Horde Wars?
There's close. Hold on, I can flip right open to it. It's nearby. I'm saying words that aren't in Horde Wars. Hold on one second.
It's just making crap up. I asked him about the game, and he's like, I'm just going to spout out whatever I want.
Yeah, whatever sounds good. Range increments. So you have adjacent. We are within one combat space. which is loose. They say roughly 2 yards, but you don't have to get close, short, medium, long, and extreme range.
Okay, so how do you define extreme range?
They actually give combat spaces, like 48 combat spaces away, and their combat spaces are considered. So you could say you could use hexes or whatever, but for me, I don't see any reason why you could just cover up the distances and you as a DM say you close.
Okay, so let me ask the question a little bit differently, because I'm just trying to find out how deep it goes. Short bow versus long bow, or thrown weapon. I've got throwing daggers versus a long bow.
Yes, your weapons will say things like they can be used at close range, they can be used at short range, and they get like I forgot where it says it at. It should be here, but I don't see it.
Okay.
But yeah, and they do give you that. Some spells can only be used in close combat. Some spells can only be used at long range or whatever. So it's all written within the weapon, within the spell. It's pretty smooth.
Okay, no, that makes sense. So I've used range bands like Battlelords of the 23rd Century, where it has like 8 range bands, and it just says 1, 2, 3, 4, out to 8. But you have to look at the particular weapon to find out what each means. So it's like you really didn't save any time. Then there's like the Free League version of it, which is close, and then 1 zone, and then 4 zones or whatever for the long, so forth, which is way more abstract. But so I was just curious how this one does it. I at this point, I'm torn. I'm in the middle. Because I want one firearm to be distinguished. So, I'm writing a sci-fi game.
Sure.
I want one firearm to be a little bit distinguished from another firearm without going, okay, let me research exactly the difference between an M4 and an M16, because there's probably like a 200-foot difference between. No, I don't want to get into that, but I do want there to be a difference between I've got a low-powered rifle or low-powered pistol versus a high-powered rifle, so to speak. So the range bands,
Well, and there's differences, like you have the maces or whatever. You have a mace, Morningstar, and then you have, which is one-handed. Then you have a heavier maul, a big weapon, and you have limitations, and it does different things when it hits. I think heavy is actually a description that different weapons get, like piercing weapons and things like that. And there's other words I'm not remembering exactly, but I would be intrigued to watch you play in that game, or to hear your report from play, because I do think I only know so much about you, but we played together. I think you might enjoy it if you get the right. To me, you have to have the right group of players. I played in games that I thought were kind of crap games, meaning the mechanics I thought were kind of cheesy, and I've had an amazing time. And
I'm a little different on that regard. Like, I won't even play with my best friend in a Pathfinder game. I just won't play the game. Like, I don't care how much I like role playing with him. Not to be fair, most of my friends don't like it either. But I mean, that friendship thing only goes so far with certain games. But I'll try any game with a good friend.
I'm not just talking buddies. I mean people that are making the game as good as it can be. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll be honest with you, I was not excited about Rifts, and I'm not a huge Palladium fan. I am not, but I loved playing the one we played in. I think the guys that make the game are super cool. I played a couple of times at home. I've had a really good time. For me, I won't say the system doesn't matter, but if you have the right people playing, and I don't mean just friends, people that are there to make the game fun and aren't just there to, I don't know, get their own particular jollies because they get to be super powerful bad fighter dude. I don't have as hard a time, but I get it.
The table does matter, but system really matters a lot to me as well. Sure. And I don't know what the percentage is, if like the system's more important than the players. Like, I don't know where that 50-50 line is, but no, if you're coming to me like, hey, I'm going to run, XYZ game, and I'm like, I already had a bad experience with it. It's,
you're out. Yeah. I got you.
It's like, no. And to really, like, I know a lot of people don't understand this or like it that I say this, but I would play in a 5e game long before I'd play in a 3e game.
No, I actually get it. No, knowing you, I as much as what little I do know you, I don't mean that bad. Just we only so close we can be off the internet. But my point is, I think that's right. I would have said that. I think you would enjoy 5e. If you could enjoy it, you would enjoy it more than you would third. Third is definitely probably in many ways everything you
it has so much that I don't like, and it's not because it's just WotC changed D&D. Like, even as a game system goes, is it a passable, good, effective game system? Yes. But as Bruce says, I'm not looking for a skirmish game. And 3E really lends itself to that skirmish game style.
Bruce Lombardo said that?
Yeah, well, he does Pathfinder more so, but
what's the difference? They're the same.
Yeah. But that's the thing. So
but I mean, to me, it's just the weight of third edition. I'm over all that minutia. I'm past it.
Well, I'm scared. So I don't know if you know this, but next year we're going to cover Earth Dawn. Like, actually cover it like the way we cover most games. And I tell you what, I'm kind of nervous that I'm going to look at it and be like, I used to love this game. I'm not so sure I do anymore. Law Dog says, for Warwick's and my favorite crazy. Love that character. Right? Yeah, dude.
I miss him. I love that dude.
I love playing my character too, because it was this thing. Like, normally I'm like, okay, I'm in charge. So that means I have to be in charge. I have to be up front. I have to give orders. Not Heathen Dog for all that. So I was just like, all right, so what we're going to do is, and there's just something kind of fun about that distantly in charge kind of thing, yet still there. Like, yeah, go for it. You guys got it. Like, I don't want to come. It's air conditioning, man. Come on. Like, I don't.
Clock though, dude, I could tell. Dude, his time on Rift's Earth is not going to be long.
My characters?
No, my character.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I can tell. I'd be lucky. I mean, I love playing that dude, but I can tell. Like, I should.
Yeah, but I don't know. You're a crazy man. Crazy's got this weird luck about them. I mean, if you're, because I watched those one-on-one sessions with you. Yeah. You were crazy, but you weren't stupid, and that's the thing. Is most crazies players think that they do it as a license to be stupid.
Well, my guy really is. I mean, if he could say it, he's trying to be Batman. That's what he's trying to be.
Oh yeah.
And he just, because he believes he is actually, and Nightlight. But I mean, yeah. So I can't be just totally insane. But my point is, as I keep adding all these, what are they called?
Insanities.
I'm eventually going to be impossible to be around.
Oh, yeah. And Heathen Dog and I have actually talked about that. It can be, depending on what you get for insanities, it can be almost pretty much NPC creating at some point there when you start piling those on. But then there are other ones that maybe aren't so bad. And but here's, you were talking about randomly rolling your Horde Wars character. It's one of the reasons why I think you should randomly roll your insanities, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. Stop with this idea of like, well, I want the character to be able to be played to level 15, or this is great, I got the worst insanity in the world, I can just go everybody I want. Like those extremes to me aren't fun. It's like the, oh god, what's going to happen next, but hey, you got I'm here as long as I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know, I wish we can get back and do that game again. I'd love to see him to the end.
So the last time I talked with RPG is Dumb about this, his issue was that he couldn't find a good replacement. Well, there are two issues. Actually, you were one of them. Oh, no. The first issue was that he couldn't find a replacement for Heathen Dog. Now, he did finally find one, and I think Crispy and I got along well enough. There's some issues with that crowd versus us, so to speak, but I don't think Crispy's one of them. So we seem to get along fine. Yeah. But then you backed out. And he was like, I can't do it. He's like, there's too much personality lost with both Heathen Dog and Randy gone. And my character isn't designed to pick up that slack.
No, not your guy.
So now if you watch Bear's game, you'll know I can do it, but it wouldn't be this character. And that's just kind of,
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was looking forward to having Heathen Dog around, because I know that eventually, I think his character might be the one to kill me. Eventually that might be the case.
He made no mention of that. Basically, he was going to, because we talked behind the scenes, is like, one thing I was concerned about is like, if it came down to me or the coalition, who is he going to follow? Because my character was never a coalition supporter. He was a guy that was stuck in a bad situation, basically owed him money, owed him a service. What am I going to do? Are you going to be the one that lives in the middle of Germany to tell the Nazis to go get fucked?
Well,
so
work with me, but not you. Yes.
I mean, as much as we want to sit here and say, I would never work with the Nazis. Well, when your choice is to have you and your entire family get wiped out or not, sometimes you make those decisions. Well, that's kind of like where my character was. And then I'm blaming you because you're here, set off the nuke.
I know I did. I was thinking about that. Really killed my character's soul. because he felt
Mine
guilty.
too.
I couldn't believe. I was like, I did this. I mean, and I thought I was like, and it was because of one of my. I don't know if you know this. It was because of one of my phobias that I had. It caused me to go stupid. And Nerdy Ogre tried to save me. He's back in there. He tried to save me multiple times, but Work's like, I'm a nutbag. Sorry. Somebody cast a spell.
Well, and ultimately you started that fight, which brought in the match, which just basically sold everything on, well, this is what we were supposed to stop, right? Well, shit, now we got to do it. I was hoping that there would be, hey, can we get everybody out first and then nuke this thing? And at that point, it's like, no, we could not. And it's like, son of a... And of course, Heathen Dog was all to what I could say. What is a plasma ball? What are those stupid things they're called?
Right,
I could say one.
He couldn't wait to use that thing.
I know.
Yeah,
so
cool.
it was that perfect storm that all came together. But this is what I love about role playing, man. It's like I have an idea. Look in Bear's game, Palladium Fantasy, right? I have an idea for my character. Every session we sit down and play, and it never once come to fruition, either because something happens in play that prevents me from doing what it is I had planned on doing, or something gets twisted, whatever. But yet the role players are so strong that no matter what happens, I get to still be me. I don't have to like tweak. Like Law Dog, he wasn't making me angry. I'm saying this in a facetious way, but he was like pissing me off because all the things that I wanted to say and ask and do as John, as me, as like, hey, I can't do that with my character. I'm like, it fucking makes perfect sense, but I can't do it with my character. And I'm like, it was driving me crazy, and I loved it.
And Nerdy Ogre at 941's got a cool comment.
I don't have timestamps on. What did he say?
941. It's
which comment is it?
It's
the
like
the cats. Yeah.
I think he's right. Especially with me. I mean, Works like trying to herd cats for sure. But a bag of cats and a bubble bath, that's fair.
Dude, I love your character because you tried so hard to be the good guy and to listen and can comply, but you.
I mean, I was driving that one character, Heathen Dog's character crazy. I kept calling him Yes Captain. I was trying during the daytime. Warren's the perfect little soldier. Well, mostly.
Well,
perfect.
But it was great. Like honestly, it was great. Connell turning into the bug, and then nobody expected me to let him go.
So
and
cool. I
wish that's the one that wasn't recorded.
Really?
We had that one session just on Discord. It was that one.
I meant to ask you, so because your guy is not you're not like a fan of the coalition. Is that why you let him go? Because you found a way to let him go without killing him?
I'm a scrupulous character.
Oh, that's right.
My alignment is scrupulous. Why I'm not going to kill him. He helped us out. Maybe he can get this fixed. Now, if you remember what I told him, you come back and we see me, you Mr. Bugman.
Right.
It's the end of you because I don't want DBs and so forth. The thing is my character sympathizes with the coalition in the terms of magic causes a lot of problems, and these things keep coming and trying to eat us. Yep. But I'm not going to. I know Connell. I forget his character's name. I forget what it was, but I know Connell. I know that he served us well. He did the best he could. I can't just kill him because he's changing.
I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, so did I. Now, I've mentioned this to Law Dog and a couple others, and I'll mention it to you. If you can get a hold of RPG's Dumb and somehow convince him to play, I'm ready. Dude, I went and bought a cigar. I bought a hat for my character. I've got a couple of props just to kind of, keep me in character a little bit. Like
I got to find my mask. I don't know where I put it. Oh, there it is. I got my mask still. My mask is still out.
I think, but Nerdy Ogre, I think that your character serves I think you fit that role better than you might think. Mm-hmm. You're not the most as the world goes here. You're not the most. You don't have the most presence. You're not the most conversational. In terms of how you are as a person, but you're smart, and you know what? I could see you as a wilderness scout because you're not the type of person that would just be hobnobbing, haggling with everybody, convince them, greasing the wheels, so to speak. But out there in the wilderness, and you're spouting out, and like you trying to keep this weirdo under control, I think that fits your role, man.
That's like, man, Warwick's just too. Yeah, he had no. Poor Nerdy. I didn't know it's uncomfortable. Boo, Flady.
It's funny because there are some people, like every time Sean and Kevin come on, we'll just call them the usual players out there who start spouting off that, they're going on with a show of actual Nazis because they promote the coalition. For Heathen Dog, it's an act. I mean, no, it's not how to say this. It's an act, but it's not one that he's actually wholly against. He knows that the coalition are the bad guys.
Sure.
But for me, I don't think I've ever once said I support the coalition. I think I said I understand how it could come to be. If things can pop out of the sky and go, how did I say it the other day? Can lift up your roof, pull you out of your house, eat you, and walk away. Why the fuck would you not? Like, wait, you can stop that? Okay, I have to not read. I have to, okay, you're going to wipe out some people that might be causing this problem, whether directly or indirectly. And I'm just flesh and blood. I'm not some sort of.
Let's be honest. Initially, you and I both, and everybody here, unless they're specialists, we would run to the coalition.
Yes.
Because initially, I'd be like, "Yeah, dude, we got to fight this craziness." It would take probably another generation or two. I'm not sure if you or I could ever trust a DB.
Right. Right.
That's
but that's how most humans are. And the people are always like, I would never do it. You can say that now. Go read Jordan Peterson's book or watch his video, whatever it was, that you would be a Nazi. And I hate to say it, but most people would fall into that. So, oh God, we got super chats flying in here all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Damo, good to see you. We talked a lot of Earthdawn today. I mean, we didn't talk a lot about it, but we mentioned Earthdawn today. Dropped in to say hi to Randy and Max in the middle of our Friday night game. Continue being awesome, guys, later. Well, he's awesome. I'm just pretty okay, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the $5. And Law Dog for $4.99. It's tongue-in-cheek. Get over it. Yeah, I know, but you know how people you can't even joke about stuff like that. Would you play the Empire if you were in Star Wars? Fuck yes, I would. Think about it. The rebels are terrorists. I just want to live my fucking life, but because I'm sorry for cussing, but because they're acting like these weirdos constantly, now we have to have all this martial law put on us and all these dumb rules. Stop blowing crap up, and we'll stay.
Well, most people would. They'd fall right. Well, history shows that they'd fall right.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the Rifts world, I think you'd be hard pressed to see even good DBs. It would take them years
to prove it,
maybe generations to prove it.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be so hard,
especially if you don't look human. Like I could imagine somebody coming in from a human setting, maybe integrating.
Oh yeah,
even like a super.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Superman or some warrior from a magic realm. Sure, that wouldn't be too bad. But you look like an alien bug, even though you're like super. And maybe you're on your planet, you're a paladin, but no one would give you a chance on Rifts.
Right? Exactly. So, I mean, think about it. You live in the middle of Michigan, right? I don't know how big the coalition presence there. I'm sure there is a bit of it because that's kind of close to Chi-Town. But you live in the middle of Michigan where, things don't always happen. All of a sudden, Bug Monster comes. What's the first thing you're thinking? He might be trying. Oh, dude, was it Rick and Morty? There's a Rick and Morty episode where if you watch after the credits, and I don't know what episode it is, but it's somebody coming in basically saying, hey, we're here to give you the secret of the universe and cure cancer or whatever. But they look like big kaiju going, and so they're like, kill them all. Think about it. You come from your planet going, blessed art thou who have come upon, and I'm going to give you the blessings, but you sound like, it's like,
why are they shooting me?
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So, well, hey, ladies and gentlemen of the stream, I think I'm going to end it a little bit early tonight. I think it was a great conversation with DM Blackwall. I want to appreciate everybody that has been here. I do want to talk to you for a couple minutes after the stream, Randy, if you're okay with that. Sure. Please shout out Biggest Geekus real quickly and say anything you want. You got all the time in the world. You want to talk about Biggest Geekus? But
Biggest Geekus, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. YouTube. My buddy Joe and I, we talk about all manner of gaming. We are pretty big fans of fantasy RPGs. We talk some other stuff, but mostly D&D style stuff. And we love to have people come over and we talk with the chat a lot. They're pretty cool guys that come by. We'd love to have you stop by and chat with us every week. We've cut the time down, Max. I don't know if you know that. We're trying to cut the time down to more like an hour now instead of 2.
Actually, they've been really short because I actually get home a little later. I'm available a little later, and you guys have long since done. I'm like, well, shit.
Dude, initially we were super long form because Joe and I would just run our mouths till we didn't want to run them anymore, 2 and 3 hour episodes. We're starting to cut it down. And this week coming up, Shadow and Sun is going to be on. We're going to talk about, he's got a new short story he's going to be publishing, and we've already got a little preview of it, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. We'd love for you to come by. And I'd like to also push Big Geek Con 2024, September 20th to 22nd in Saginaw, Michigan. Get your tickets on tabletop events. Just look up Big Geek Con 2024. $30 for it's going to be an extended 2.5, 3 days starting on Friday this year, Friday, Saturday, part of Friday at noon, part of Sunday, ending at 5, I think, and Saturday for $30. And you can game your butts off. Joe and I will be there, and a lot of people from last year, I hope, will show up. It'll be a good time. Last year was awesome.
I wish Michigan wasn't so far away.
I know, dude. You're down in the
Babalamistan.
You are Balama. Yep.
Yeah, well, people keep asking me because there aren't a lot of good conventions down here anymore. Most of them died out with COVID.
You should run one.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that goes into that nonsense, though. It seems to be a lot of stuff going. It seems like the center of gaming has moved from the Twin Cities, Wisconsin area, and now it's kind of shifted over to Michigan. Like every time I talk to somebody, I'm a creator from Michigan. Like, what the hell happened to Michigan that turned that into the hub? But thank you for the gifted memberships, Law Dog. I appreciate that. For the folks who we're nowhere even close to having a giveaway today. So now, what does that mean? That means it doesn't roll over to next week because we didn't actually run it. So next week will be $175 still pretty darn good. So I look forward to that. You will be added to the list, so you will be eligible for the giveaways next week. Cool. So. Palladium books. Well, yeah, but Palladium books happened in like 1981 or something. So,
you could drive down, Bob. Bob Vecna says he's in the wrong Michigan. He's in the UP. No, dude, I'm right here, brother. Come on down.
Heath Dog's basically Detroit.
I know. He should come over. He should come hang out with us. We'll have fun.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of Palladium, and I don't know if Flady's going to make it this year. He said probably not. So last year, Flady ran a boatload of riffs, and I got another buddy that ran riffs. So yeah, it's a popular system.
Well, cool. Well, thank you, Randy, for being here again. Stand by just a moment. I'm going to end this for everybody else, folks in chat. I really do. I hope you got something out of Horde Wars. I hope you like it. Links are in the description. Once I end this is going to go. Well, I think it goes unlisted, not private right away. But so it's going to be harder to find that link. But so check it out. At least bookmark it or something if you don't have $7 right now. But I was very, very, very impressed with what I heard about Horde Wars. Don't like doing these forms of shows anymore, but I'm very happy he was on. I'm glad he talked with us, and I'm interested in checking out. So hopefully you guys are as well. But with that, I'm going to put up the little banner here, and there you go. There's your Horde Wars for you. And I'm just going to hope everyone... Oh, by the way, Sunday. I got to talk to you guys about Sunday. Sunday, I'm going to be continuing on with Dragonbane. We're going to be talking about skills, heroic abilities, and gear in Dragonbane. And Heathen Dog is going to go back all the way back to Shadowrun 1st Edition, although it's compatible with 2nd Edition as well, and talk about Shadow Tech. I don't know why it was so important to him, but he wanted to talk about a 90-year-old game and the 1980s technology that comes with it. It's going to be fun. So he's going to talk about Shadow Tech and Shadowrun and how you can use that in your game. So look forward to seeing you all then. And with that, I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful weekend.